of Outlaw sprint cars. Just about the nastiest breed of circle track racing machine man has yet devised. Wing wonders that weigh only 1,250 pounds and have 700 horsepower. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and welcome to a blustery day at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite, Texas. And I'll tell you one thing for sure. If push comes to shove, outlaws like Shane Carson, well, they'll do both. Okay, Paul, bump them off. But, Brock, I got one question. Why would you build a $50,000 race car that won't even start itself?
Okay, Steve, let me ask you a question. Why would some of the best sprint car drivers in the world show up at a little windswept racetrack outside Dallas, Texas? I'll tell you why. This is a world of outlaws, and these guys will race anywhere as long as it's on dirt. Sit by in the old infield on top of their trailers and watch the rest of the guys struggle. As we've got a green, let's swing down on that red number 1 in the second row. Watch him. Everybody, and we have got contact on the front straight. 1, 2, 3 cars involved here. A chain reaction crash right at the start. The yellow caution flag is out for sure. Number 52, Steve Laney in that yellow car up against the fence along with Dean Lindsay. Jack Hewitt in the 63 out in the middle of the straightaway. The cars will slow down and reform. You know, Steve, it's possible they can restart these guys. These cars are like little hunks of billet steel. They're really strong. But then again, it's possible they suffered some suspension damage. It looked as if Laney got up against the fence pretty hard, and he may have some problems. But who's to know? They may get underway again. Let's take another look at it. And I think we'll see what caused this chain reaction. Watch the white car, Tim Green, 5M. He comes up high, right there. He just tags poor Steve Laney, puts him right into the wall. Jack Hewitt, the 63 car, he had nowhere to go. From another angle now, you will see the yellow car. That's Laney sliding up towards the wall, and Tim Green just grazes his left front wheel. But it's enough to point him towards the wall. Poor Jack Hewitt had nowhere to go but to hit him. Well, it's just one of those little incidents in real close racing like you get in Outlaws on half-mile dirt tracks. It wasn't Tim Green's fault by any means. It's just that two guys tried to be in the same spot at the same time, that's all. Well, crewmen are on the scene with the sledgehammers and the crowbars, going to try to get these cars back into the race. Dean Lindsay's machine looks repairable. The car with the most damage is number 52, Steve Laney, and Brock is with Steve to find out. Well, Steve, it looks like there's kind of a dispute about how that all happened. How do you see it?
Well, I see it 2 times in a row. Tim Green just skated out and pinned me on the fence. That's the only way I can see it.
So you were coming off of 4 and you just got up against the fence. He had nowhere to go.
He won't let you have a place to go.
Right. Are you all right?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Hurt the race car bad?
Yeah, it tore it up pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we're sorry you're out.
Well, thank you very much.
Glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Now let's go to Steve with one of the other drivers involved, Jack Hewitt.
Well, Jack, you get back in this thing?
Yeah, we just really didn't get bumped too much. We just kind of spun to miss everything, and we just kind of rubbed the wheel.
It's that old deal, aim for the spinning car, and maybe you won't hit him, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to hit him no more. He's not going to be in the rest of this race.
It looked like he just got into the wall and turned him sideways.
I think he bumped somebody, or somebody bumped him, and I don't think that last one was his fault.
Well, glad to see you right side up and getting back in it.
Thank you.
And Brock's with yet another guy involved, Dean Lindsay.
Just a quick word, Dean. Are you out, or you try to repair the front wing, I noticed?
Well, we'll try to repair the front end of the car, and then we'll make the B main, I hope.
Well, we're sorry you're out. I hope you get back in.
Okay.
Well, 2 out of 3 getting back in it really isn't bad considering what could have happened, Brock.
Right, Steve. Like I said, they build these sprinters really tough. Now let's take one last look at that little spin here at the start of heat number 4 at Devil's Bowl. That is Laney up against the fence. Tim Green just nicks his left front wheel. He's sideways up against the wall, and there's Jack Hewitt spinning out as well. But, as we said, 2 out of 3 back into it, and that's not bad considering what might have happened.
Well, I don't think Tim Green will be getting a Christmas card from Steve Laney this year.
You're right, I doubt it.
Number 4 underway. Number 63, Jack Hewitt, Brock Yates, is back in it. Good for him.
He sure is. Jack, a really good-natured driver and a good guy, runs the USAC circuit as well as the Outlaws and is a very solid talent. He's in it, but the big story really in this heat is Sammy Swindell. Remember yesterday, Steve, he was fighting it out for the overall lead with Steve Kinzer in the feature race. Appeared to be a sure second-place finisher. He got into some traffic. Here we are in turn number 1, and you can see Swindell there. And number 78, Todd Kane, right in front of him, spins. Sammy tries to go to the outside and just nicks his left rear wheel on Kane's rear tire and takes himself out. He was running pretty hard at that point, Steve. He almost kind of did a wheel stand before he came to a stop.
It just reared up like a bucking horse, didn't it? Were it not for that incident, we would not see Sammy Swindell today until the feature. As it stands front row, Steve Kinzer and Ron Schumann, as we have got a green flag start. Down the front straightaway they come, and we've got big trouble.
That is Jack Houdenchild. Upside down, a couple of nasty spins and more trouble in turn 1. That's Dave Bradway Jr. and Jeff Swindell in the 91 car all hooked up down there. But the serious problem is right here in turn 4, right on the front straightaway. That is Jack Houdenchild.
No injuries in turn number 1, Brock. Jeff and Dave Bradway Jr. both appear to be okay, and oh, what a relief. Out of that sprint car to the roar of the crowd comes Jack Houdenchild. What a tough little guy.
He is indeed. He kind of took a couple of quick moves there just to tell everybody, hey, I'm all right. Don't bother throwing me in the back of that ambulance. Let's take one more look at this.
And possibly see what triggered it. First, we see Houdenchild right up on the back of Randy Smith's car. Then Bobby Davis Jr. gets his nose beneath Houdenchild's car, and ultimately it catapults the front end of that car 20 feet in the air. You see the wing take some of the shock out of it. It almost landed back on its wheels were it not for that left rear coming in contact with the wall. And amazingly enough, Brock was talking earlier how tough these cars are. It's not all that badly bent up. And fortunately, neither is Jack Houdenchild. Let's go down to the pits and see if Brock can get a word with him.
Jack, you all right?
Yeah.
Did you take this? What happened? You got up against the fence?
Yeah, just got front end caught with somebody else and just took off.
You're okay, though?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Again, another look at this spectacular accident. It looks as if possibly the number 6 car, Bobby Davis Jr., may have pushed Houdenchild into the back of Randy Smith's car, and then Bobby Davis Jr. is still involved in actually flipping the vehicle. What punishment that man took. He's got to be in very good physical condition to walk away without as much as a limp.
Well, if that had been an Olympic diving competition, I think he got about a 9 on that one, Steve. That was about a half gainer with a twist. But fortunately, no damage to Jack Houdenchild, but he will be out for the day. All right, remember now, just a few feet further down the racetrack, we had another incident as the green flag dropped, and that involved Tim Green down here in the blue and white number 5 car trying to squeeze underneath Dave Bradway Jr. Now, Green made it, but Bradway got bunted into Jeff Swindell, and they rode up over each other's wheels and just came to a halt. Now, it appears that neither of the cars are badly damaged, and they've both been hauled to the pits.
Well, here is Jeff Swindell working on mounting a new tire. These are what they call knockoffs. You just spin that nut on it, it holds the wheel on. So apparently that was Jeff Swindell's only problem.
Well, here is Dave Bradway Jr.'s crew. They are working on his car as well. It also doesn't seem to be very badly damaged. Probably make a tire change and check that suspension setup to make sure that they haven't knocked anything out of kilter. But he's going to climb back in and restart. In the meantime, Jeff Swindell has about completed his repairs. Steve is down there with Jeff to find out exactly what happened.
Jeff, no damage other than a tire wheel?
Yeah, kind of bent the front wing up a little bit, bent a wheel, cut a tire, tore the hood up a little. That's about it, really.
Not the first time.
Nah, it's just one of them deals.
Okay. He'll be back in it. Remains to be seen, however, how well the car will handle. Pick up positions. You've got to stay down low. Some of the drivers actually almost getting the front wheels into the infield where they can, trying to find fresh dirt.
Now keep an eye on number 12, Steve Perry. Outway got a spin, 53. Spins her around, comes off the track. That's Larry Bell, and Steve East with a broken right front wheel assembly drives off the track. So the yellow flies, and we slow him down at the Devil's Bowl.
They will probably be able to bump start the 53 car of Larry Bell and get him back in the race. But for Chris East, with that busted off right front wheel, I'd say he's pretty much done for the day.
I don't think there's any question about that, Steve. Now remember that the yellow flag laps do not count. This is the B feature. There is Bell's car. He sits hoping that somebody will come give him a start. Remember, they don't have onboard starters. He started this race on the inside of the front row. On the other hand, you can see, obviously, as now Chris East sees it, this car is not going to continue in this race.
Well, they're going to send a truck for Chris as well, but it won't have a pushboard on the front. It'll have a hook on the end of a chain to take him back to the trailer. And here's how it all unfolded.
Keep your eye on that bright yellow car as it moves to the left side of the screen. Apparently, the right front of Ish's car car got into the side of Bell's car, rippled back along the protective bars, broke off the right front of Isha's car, and punted Bell off the right side of the circuit.
Had Ish and Larry Bell, let's say, in the left rear tire, it might have knocked the whole rear end out of line. As it was, he got him right in this side on the protective bar. They have those on both sides of the machine. And what you see break off of Isha's car is not the wheel itself. It's a protective center that is bolted into the wheel.
Dangerous situation. They're really lucky that the two wheels didn't hit square, in which case one car might go flipping through the air.
And of course, in any form of open-wheel racing. Well, Chris, you were definitely in the hot seat going for that fourth position, trying to get to the feature, and you knocked the corner off it.
Yeah, I got into the guy down there, and it broke the axle.
Takes a pretty good shunt to do that, doesn't it? That's strong material.
Yeah, it does. I didn't think I really hit him that hard.
Well, apparently you did. Sorry to see you out of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, too. Be back tomorrow.
You only have to look back as far as yesterday. In preliminary competition, watch the car closest to the wall. The number 40 car, that is Dave Blaney. This was the first lap of a heat race. He got into the wall hard, upside down, and it's a good thing those machines are, as we both called them, durable. Blaney, strapped in tight with arm restraints, walked away from this wreck as vicious as it was. But traffic trying to miss Blaney created problems further down the racetrack.
As Blaney's car flipped along the outside wall, a gaggle of cars crashed onto the inside wall. In the center of that group, Steve Kinzer.
The 7-time Outlaw champion managed to stay right side up, but took a chassis-shattering shot against that inside wall. They were not quick to admit defeat, but finally had to write the car off. They hauled the wreckage back to a motel parking lot and overnight have built a brand new race car. Earlier this morning in the pit area, Paul Page talked to Steve Kinzer, the first millionaire sprint car driver.
Well, here's Steve Kinzer, who was involved in a main straightaway accident here at the Devil's Bowl yesterday, and the car terribly damaged. You really had to do a total rebuild overnight.
Well, what we had to do is just basically just put a new frame underneath the car. The car really looked like it was tore up exceptionally bad. It wasn't really, you know, other than the frame wasn't really hurt. The car wasn't hurt a whole lot, and we're lucky enough the frame underneath the car is basically one of the cheapest parts of the car. So, but to switch it all around, it was about 3 o'clock this morning getting it all ready to go. So, yeah, we're back the way we was. The car's just not quite as pretty as it was.
45 is able to drop in behind the 2 car and picks up 3rd place.
Indeed, and he's followed by 8X Craig Keel and 63 Jack Hewitt. So it's really 8X Craig Keel who has that final. Oh, and here is the 66 car has spun out. John Stevenson is on the shoulder of the racetrack. That's a dangerous place to be.
Look at this. Jack Hewitt bumps into the back end of Stevenson. He just got too high and got into him.
They had just started to display the yellow caution flag, and there's a good chance that Jack Hewitt in the 63 car did not see it and made contact with John Stevenson. Let's see how Stevenson got in that awkward predicament to begin with. Here you see that red car just about the center of your screen. He's getting higher and higher, and suddenly he gets served by Mike Ward in car number 61, causing him to go high. And then from the right side of the picture, you'll see Jack Hewitt add insult to injury. Now Hewitt is full on the brakes. He's back on the power down, but it's all just a little bit too late. I doubt that shot from Hewitt did much damage to the 66 car, but Mike Ward might have. Paul Page is down there to find out.
John, let me slide in here a second. It looks like you spun and then got hit up there in 4.
Well, what happened is somebody hit me in the front end and knocked me out toward the wall, and I stopped it just so I wouldn't hit the wall. And it was the first lap yet, so I thought we'd get a restart. But Hewitt come around and ran into me. They must not have got the yellow flag out in the back shooting fast enough. So just one of them deals in racing, I guess.
Up 2nd place and charges after Sammy Swindell.
Sammy has smooth sailing, but he's about the only one from the 9th position back. They are wheel to wheel. In fact, they are touching wheels. This is Jack Hewitt. He has gone high into the 3X car of Danny Smith. The 63 car and the 3X car get together.
Danny Smith really got bounced around, but look at this. Bobby Davis Jr. spins it. Danny Smith is right there bumping off of him as well, and they both keep the power going, and they're both right back into the action.
They got into the 39 car of Tommy Estes Jr. also. Boy, I'll tell you, they scattered the rail birds with that one. So there was action in 2 locations on the racetrack, and that, to no surprise, has brought out the yellow flag. What a tough weekend for this young charger. Bobby Davis Jr. from Memphis, Tennessee. A vicious crash yesterday, now involved in this shot. Here is the 48 car, Mark Kinzer, and he apparently has stalled of the course. Clearly in trouble, and it doesn't look good for him either.
So let's go back to that incident in the 4th turn. The white 63 car is the one to watch as he slides right up and scrubs tires, bounces around with Danny Smith. They both lock up. It's a wonder that neither one of them got upside down. Danny Smith disentangles Jack Hewitt in 63, gets it all straightened out, and they rocket on down the main straightaway with 1X, Rick Unger in pursuit.
But Danny Smith's troubles were not over. Just seconds later, coming out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch, the 6th car of Bobby Davis Jr. gets sideways, and Danny has absolutely nowhere to go. So 2 times in 1 lap does Danny Smith get bounced around by his fellow competitors. And look at this, the rear tires are turning. There's one guy, the picture doesn't mean that much to him. He's out of there.
Both of them were able to keep the engines going and got spun around, pointed in the right direction, figured their way out of that little cloud, though it took one more loop for Bobby Davis Jr., and they were back into the action. But by this time, the yellow flag definitely out. The field slowed, and they'll have to line up one more time and put themselves in order, ready to go racing once again.
You know they'll be going for it. Chris Ace takes control as they come out of the 2nd turn. He's your leader, Steve Stamball, running 2nd. Then it's Paul Luthier, Ed Lynch, and Stevie Smith right behind them. Fred Raymer and the 5M of Mark Kinzer. Down the front stretch, Stamball giving Ace everything he can handle. The real race right now, though, is for 4th place. And Fred Raymer has taken 4th spot, and the red flag's out. We have somebody at it. It may be Mary Seneff.
Yes, it is.
Up on the 3rd and 4th turns. There's Mary, and you can see the wing damage, but it looks like the car is almost sitting on the track. So Mary, who was behind the action, and we didn't see her when she went over, but brought out the red. So we have a break in the action early, and we'll be back for more sprint car World of Outlaws versus Pennsylvania Posse sprint car activity right after this. The Williams Grove Fram Autolite National Open. Mary Seneff, that was the car that turned over and brought out the red flag after 1 complete lap. And because we got that lap in and it is official, we will restart these sprinters in heat number 1 in single file. Right now, one of the cars to watch is Fred Raymer, who has moved up 3 spots. Behind him, Fred Raymer, and we've got a yellow flag because we've got 3 cars in the 2nd turn. Yep. It may turn to red, I'm not sure. I guess it will because the car's on its side.
One's on its side and 2 just got a little sideways. We don't know who's on its side right now, though.
No, we don't. Craig Rankin's in there, as is Jeff Shepard, and I'm not sure who that is.
We'll see as they get ready to push it right back over now and get a look at the number on it.
Maybe... No, it's the 19 of Brett Mann, who won the C Main, who got on his side, and that does bring in that's what happens in sprint car racing. A car gets on its side, it brings out the red flag. So
right away.
The car has been righted. There you see the 3 cars involved in the accident. It brings out the red flag. It forces us to take a break, and we'll return for more B Main action right after this.
These guys in the local tracks from eastern Pennsylvania, like Williams Grove, go up against the Outlaws 2 or 3 times a year, and this is one of the classic confrontations.
And they could run with them. The green is out, and already there's trouble, and it involves the number 1 car of Sammy Swindell up against the fence.
There in turn number 4, the crushed front end of that black number 1 car of Sammy Swindell. Can they get the car repaired in time for the B feature? These guys could work miracles in the pits.
World of Outlaws cars, as there is one of the kings of the Outlaws, Sammy Swindell, and he is already on the hook, Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, as usual, the Outlaws get started way on the back straightaway, well in advance of the green flag down front. And the corner 3 and 4 here is very narrow at Williams Grove. There you can see Swindell moving down in between a bunch of traffic, trying to move up early, and he gets up on the rear wheel of Glenn Clark in the 85 car. That does giant damage to the front end, and then he whacks Joey Kuhn in the 2K. Fortunately, no damage for Joey, but Sammy Swindell's front end may be mortally wounded here tonight.
And again, from another angle, we see the number 1 car, Sammy Swindell, as he gets into the 2K car, Joey Kuhn, after he hit Glenn Clark in the 85 car. The field sees Billy Crawford and 66-8 Bobby Fletcher come together on the backstretch. Nasty, nasty stuff, but typical of this kind of racing. In this first replay, we can see that the 2 cars do indeed touch wheels, just like the motorcycles did earlier. And when this happens, the results can go in any direction. In this particular case, both cars headed for the inside guardrail and hit it hard. In the next replay, the cars have already come together and sheer momentum flings them to the inside. Luckily, neither car flipped and neither was substantially damaged. Quite obviously, though, Bobby Fletcher in the 66 car did get the worst of it. Staying up in the high groove is Bobby Davis Jr. Down low is scruffy Bobby Allen, the 1A car. Great to see a racetrack like this where they don't fall, try to get down on the pole and just follow the leader. Boy, tonight is going to be, I think, and we got big problems going into turn number 3. That is Aaron Berryhill, the rookie from last year we were just talking about, and he really went for a ride, Brock.
Boy, he sure did. In fact, they've thrown the red here. They're going to stop this second heat without a lap being completed as they go over there to check Aaron out and make sure that he's okay. So Aaron Berryhill takes...
Speedway, I'm Steve Evans with Brock Yates, and that is what's left of the 97B car of Aaron Berryhill. Being hauled into his pits. Don't bet they won't try to fix it. Let's take a look at the replay, Brock.
All right, there's Berryhill up high, trying to get around Danny Smith. Gets up in the marbles and tags that fence right as in the center of turn number 3, hooks that right front wheel, and that's what spills him upside down. Thankfully, though, the big Outlaw wing absorbs an awful lot of the impact for him.
Now watch how durable the modern-day sprint car really is. And also, those big, floppy, semi-low pressure air tires take a good deal of the crunch out of the crash. I talked to him. Ooh, Aaron, big-time tumble, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to try and get my poor spot back and went in a little too deep and took a turn for the worse.
Race car looks like it's repairable.
Yeah, it is. We'll be back.
Can you get it back tonight?
Yeah, we'll be back in hopefully 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay, buddy, see you then.
Thank you.
Sometimes they're not the best. Let's face it, you wait for the A-main. Not here tonight. Ooh, and Hillenberg gets even more sideways and gets tagged by Kenny Jacobs in the 7TW car. Severe but repairable damage to the left front tire hub and the assembly there. You can see Andy Hillenberg already kind of peeked out and went, yeah, we can probably fix that. And I'm sure they will and be back for the B main. But as far as this heat is concerned, it appears that Hillenberg, well, he's out of it. Go as the number 2 car of Andy Hillenberg was towed to the pit area. Hillenberg staying in the machine, not wanting to waste any time, get it back to the pits where the crew can go to work on it. And here is what happened in replay. You see Andy Hillenberg way sideways there. The lap before, he got about half that sideways. This time it comes almost all the way around. Might have been okay had not Kenny Jacobs come storming down the straightaway, unable to see him, unable to stop, slams into Hillenberg. Let's go to Brock.
Andy, any chance of getting her repaired?
Not for the heat race, but we'll be back later.
What happened? Just took a rut?
I just got a little sideways there, and it's my fault.
Right. One of the first race drivers in history ever to admit some mistake. That's very good. That's the first time ever, Andy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Spot. And here's 63, Jack Hewitt. He also gets underneath Crawford, and that'll put him in the 4th spot, and Crawford continues to fall back. 22, Tom Johnson has now taken over that 5th spot. Crawford's got some big problems. Whoa! And speaking of big problems, Jack Hewitt, what a spectacular spin in turn number 1. It just reared up on the rear tires like a bucking bronco. Jack Hewitt, you get my award for the spin of the day so far.
Well, what Jack tried to do was stay on the throttle and do a full 360, but the car took a bite and did a wheel stand. There you see Jack spinning, got the throttle on, got the wheels turned, but they're off the ground. So the car just kind of flops to a halt. So the yellow's up. You know, these cars can get awful dirty, but Jack Hewitt, well, he's got a specialist to keep his clean.
You know, Brock, sometimes these sprint cars come off the track carrying as much as 40 or 50 pounds of mud all over them. Well, Jack Hewitt, the driver of the 63 car, has a secret weapon when it comes to getting all that mud out of tight places, hard-to-reach little spots. That's Cody Hewitt. Cody, how old are you, son?
3.5.
3.5 years old. Now, what does Daddy tell you to do with this ice scraper?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, I see you working pretty hard.
I know. You just, when he races, I just clean it off for him.
That's a pretty important job, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many races do you go to with your dad?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, but the whole family goes together sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll let you get back to work. There's still a lot of mud you got to get off of here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thanks. Sammy Swindell of the black number 1 car has gotten around Chuck Hodgenshow. Hodgenshow fights back, gets on the brakes hard, and whoa! That is Jeff Swindell taking a tumble. Jeff Swindell, mighty glad he is driving a wing sprinter at the moment, Brock, because you can see that wing prevented that car from probably doing another half dozen rolls or flips. That is going to bring out the red flag. This race will be stopped.
A graphic illustration. Thank goodness Jeff Swindell out of the race car perfectly all right. As I say, a graphic illustration of that cushioning effect of those big wings on these sprinters.
Let's take another look at the incident involving Jeff Swindell. He's the 2nd car in your picture. He comes right up on the 61 car, Mike Ward, and apparently just did not get on the brakes hard enough. Maybe Ward's car slowed down and Swindell couldn't anticipate that. But there you saw, when rubber meets rubber in open wheel racing, this can be the result. But strapped tightly in that car, as tight as he can possibly get. You don't see his body stretching on those straps. Jeff Swindell walks away from this one, and he is right now with Brock.
Well, Steve, I'm with Jeff Swindell, who got upside down coming off turn 4, and fortunately okay, but can you analyze the problem?
Yeah, we was going through the traffic real well. Thing was flying. I mean, I don't see no reason we wouldn't have went right to the front. You know, we was passing a car about every 1 or 2 laps. And I got in real tight behind Mike Ward there, I think, and he stopped, and I got on the brakes. When I did, somebody hit me in the rear and pushed me right up over him. I just got sandwiched, and I was the victim of the whole situation, I guess. I guess it's racing, you know, on a tight deal like this. That stuff happens, but, you know, I guess the guy behind me didn't know how to get on the brakes too quick.
Well, I agree with half of that analysis, Jeff. You indeed tangled with Mike Ward, but I certainly didn't see anybody hit you from behind. As the wreckage is cleared from Tulsa Speedway, we'll take this time out.
Toward the front as the green comes out.
And the throttles are wide open down the front straightaway. In the yellow number 40, it is Doug Wolfgang in the lead. Right below, and we have got all kinds of cars nudging and banging on each other, Brock.
Well, there they are up in the corner of turn number 4. That's the 17A of Chris Each, the 40R of Robbie Stanley, and the 3G of Joe Garrity. Pointing the wrong way in the middle of the racetrack right there is 3BG Jim Bell Jr. So we've got 4 cars. Caution is out as the race cars are going to be circulating here under caution while this little mess is cleared up. Steve, let's have another look at it.
Watch the right side of your screen. Well, Brock, this is just kind of a fender bender. It happens all the time in outlaw racing. Anytime you've got this many cars, these guys were kind of in the middle. If one car had a motor problem, all of a sudden slowed down, the guy behind him hits a chain reaction, kind of a fender bender accident. No harm, no foul.
No, and I would think most of these guys would be able to get restarted. That is Robbie Stanley, though. He is not going to restart. His 44R clearly out for the day. Down the back straightaway, that beautiful brand new car. There's Bobby Allen in the 1A, and into the side of Allen. Swindell just hit Bobby Allen, and they took them both out. Caution flag out, and Bobby Allen looks like he's got a badly damaged right front. Now, I would say he's out for the afternoon. Swindell, I don't know what kind of damage. He just got into him sideways, Steve.
There's no explaining that. I'm sure we'll have to talk to Sammy Swindell to find out why here. Let's see if we see the tires lock up. The front tires locked up momentarily. The brakes were working there. Maybe a lack of rear brake bias, but something caused a true professional like Sammy Swindell to take out another true professional, Bobby Allen. That was just unbelievable.
So the third caution of this 25-lapper comes out as Swindell and Allen sit there in the middle of turn number 4. There's Allen, got his helmet pushed back. He may be able to get restarted. It looked like that right front got bent pretty badly, but maybe Bobby's going to get underway again as the caution remains out. Wolfgang leads it, Kinzer second. And speaking of Kinzer, earlier Steve had a look at an interesting component on Steve Kinzer's number 11.
Until just recently, sprint car headers ended just about right here with kind of a nifty little collector pointing out. Well, the fans may have a hard time getting used to the new look on some of these cars, like Steve Kinzer's number 11 machine. The World of Outlaw sprinters are now required to run mufflers to be neighborhood friendly. That's the unit you see right here called a super trap with all of these plates and there's fiberglass packing. Now, they had them down low as before, but Steve was getting really violently ill from breathing carbon monoxide, and not just at low speeds, pace laps or yellow flag laps. Even at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, the exhaust fumes were floating up and getting trapped in the cockpit by the wings. So now they've mounted them out, in fact, right out to the outside of the rear tire. And Steve says they may look a little strange, but boy, do I feel a heck of a lot better when the race is over.
And our ears feel a little bit better, too, because they're mighty quiet, Steve, compared to the old open exhaust.
I really like it, Brock. You can actually hear the gears and the quick change we're in whining. Kind of a neat sound unto itself. Doug Wolfgang, of course, he'll be on the point when we get restarted here. Rounding out the top 10 is Mark Kinzer, Jock Houdenchild back in the 9th position, both of whom have had some problems. So here we come. The green flag is out again, and Doug Wolfgang thinks this is an instant replay himself. He's gone, oh, and we have got another one. This feature is turning into a fairgrounds destruction derby, Brock.
It is. Jack Hewitt and Jimmy Sills get together just as the green flag drops. They are in the middle of turn number 3 and pretty well crunched together. I don't think that there's a lot of damage. We'll see. They may get restarted. But in the meantime, we're under caution one more time. Tire smoke coming off of Rocky's right rear.
And traffic is starting to be a real factor here. And we have got spinning out is Bobby Davis Jr. He was closing on the lap car number 85, Bob Ewell, and all of this happened.
And the wreckage is the number 6 car of Bobby Davis Jr. On top of it is the orange 23 of Rocky Hodges. Here comes Rocky crawling out of the wreckage. He is all right. Crew's going over to see how Bobby Davis Jr. is. Bobby is crawling clear of the wreckage. He apparently is all right as well. Thank goodness for roll bars and big wings. Yeah, both drivers okay, but what a mess. Have another look at this.
You know, Brock, it appears that Bobby Davis Jr. in the red 6 car just got into the turn a bit too hot. The car wanted to oversteer on him, and he spins right here. Now, coming into the picture will be number 56, Kenny Jacobs. What does Kenny Jacobs have to do? Well, he tries to get down low and see if he can find room, and there is not quite enough room. He slams into Bobby Davis Jr. Jack Houdenchild, the 18 car, he gets involved and says, I'm just going to put the throttle down and push him out of the way, which is exactly what he does. And then Rocky Hodges, 23S, gets involved in this thing, and everybody goes on their top. Watch Houdenchild, the green and white 18 car. When he gets in there, he just doesn't give up. He says, I'm not hanging around. He pushes the 56 car out of the way, and here just behind him as Rocky Hodges come in, he and Bobby Davis Jr. get upside down. Right now, Brock is with the very fortunate driver of red number 6.
I'm with Bobby Davis, who crawled out apparently all right. Obviously disappointed, running a very strong race. Bobby, it looked like you just kind of got pushed over. You know, you got into it, and all of a sudden a couple of other cars just hit and it just kind of shoved you on upside down.
Well, yeah, I'll try to get underneath that lap car there, and we got a little sideways, and we just kept getting shoved and shoved and shoved.
Yesterday in preliminary competition, the track was much slicker than we can expect today. Witness Bobby Davis Jr., the red number 6 car, came into turn number 3, maybe just a little bit too hot. The car oversteering, and he spun it out. But that was just the beginning of his problems, right, Brock?
It sure was. Here comes Kenny Jacobs in the red 56. He tries to go underneath, and right behind him is Jack Houdenchild in the 18. He clips Davis in the left front, but here comes Rocky Hodges, and he T-bones the 6 car. From another angle, you can see Jacobs coming through as the 6 car spins. There is Howdenchild in the white 18. He whacks Bobby Davis Jr. right there, but gets through. But Rocky Hodges not so lucky. Up and over. First goes Davis, then Hodges. Both cars flop on their big wings. Fortunately, no one hurt, but a lot of bent metal.
In a lot of forms of racing, an incident, a crash like Bobby Davis Jr. suffered yesterday would have really demoralized the team. They might not have been back on the track for a couple of weeks. Not in the world of Outlaws. They're used to that kind of thing. In just 2.5 hours, here's what happened to the number 6 car. They completely replaced the front Nerf bar, an entire new front end assembly, axle, radius rods, and shock absorbers. Now, the headers on the other side, just like this side, were crunched, so they were replaced. Also, the side Nerf bars, both sides had to be replaced. And at the rear, you see an entire new bumper has been installed. As I said again, all of that was accomplished in just about 2.5 hours, thanks to advanced planning on the team's part. They have all the necessary pieces in the trailer. Laps of racing, especially in Rocky Hodges back there, as you pointed out. He's the one really under the gun here. All right, we've got a great flag, and we are racing in the B feature. A pair of Oklahomans up front. Tony Armstrong, Greg Woolley, car 39 and 23. Oh, and it is Armstrong in the 39 car. He slides right in to 23. Greg Woolley and a whole bunch of drivers do a good job of missing this shot.
They sure did. So there is Armstrong stranded in the middle of turns 1 and 2. That, of course, will bring out the caution. No start, really. They just got into the race, and then out comes the yellow. So Sand Springs, Oklahoma's Tony Armstrong will probably get a restart. Of course, he'll advance to the back of the field, which makes it a tough break for him. He started on the outside pole. There is Rocky Hodges, who slid off, fortunately, without any real damage. He had to go way outside to avoid the problem. It looks like he's going to try to get a restart. And once again, though, a tough break for him. He's going to go to the back. Let's take another look, Steve.
Oh, as you know, Brock, this happened right at the beginning of the race in the very first turn, and there was 39 Armstrong just driving into the left rear wheel of Greg Woolley. Armstrong was very lucky that that car did not somehow get upside down. Anytime you have rubber-to-rubber contact with these cars, there is always that potential of a full flip or a roll.
Okay, and as you said earlier, everybody does an excellent job of missing him. Joe Garrity out of Rochester, Indiana, just nicks him, but no real damage there. And I would imagine that we're going to see Armstrong get underway here.
In avoiding the incident, Rocky Hodges took his car off the high side and down to this kind of escape area. You can see it's nice and smooth, no problem there at all. Better than trying to stay on the racetrack and accidentally run into somebody. So the official little vehicle there they call Workin' Woody, a 4-wheel drive, goes down and pushes him back up onto the racetrack, where ultimately, hopefully, the 23 car will be restarted.
Now turned out to be a 2-group racetrack. We've got a green, we're underway. Oh, all of a sudden, no. Chris Eash dumped upside down at the very start. Coming off turn number 4, Eash is tumbled, just tipped upside down in a tangle that is pretty customary. Let's see if he's all right. Yes, Eash appears to be moving around. Woodbine, Maryland's Chris Eash takes a nasty spill, Steve Evans.
Well, I'll say he did, Brock. This race never really got underway, and there he is. You're right. He is just fine. These well-built cars, coupled with those wings that take up some of that shock. Let's have a look in slow motion. Maybe we can determine what happened. The yellow car back there in the middle of the pack, the number 17 car. That is Chris Eash. He rides right up on the back of the 57 car. That is Danny Smith. And apparently, just in his enthusiasm to try to pick up some places in this very first lap, Chris Eash finds himself with a badly bent-up race car. Anytime you've got an open-wheel race car, it's totally different from, let's say, a stock car where you've got the sheet metal. You can bounce off of one another. You can't do that with these cars. You'll see right here, the yellow car rides up on the back of Danny Smith, and as soon as the tires get together, that causes all kinds of problems, including a very nasty, twisting flip. This type of spectacular incident, not at all unusual among the Outlaws. Brock is with Chris.
First of all, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What happened exactly?
Well, a couple cars got bottled up, and I just got up over somebody's wheel and just dumped it.
Classic sprint car crash, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're glad, most important, that everybody's all right. We're sorry you're out, though.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the thing most wounded here will be the racing budget of Chris Eash. Not only is he not going to make much prize money, he's going to have to write some checks to repair that number 17 car as the wrecking crew hooks it up to drag it to the pit.
The same problem virtually that everybody else had. They had to stop a little bit earlier, and there will be an argument, I'm sure, over whether or not they should be penalized as opposed to everybody else.
Well, the rule says if you bring out the caution, you go to the back, and you can see Bobby Davis Jr. is now complying with that. It's not the very back. Any cars that were lapped will be behind him, but it's close enough.
Well, considering the fact that he was sitting in second spot, right behind leader Sammy Swindell, and holding on to a very strong position in this race, and had a good chance to win it. Now he's going to have to work his way all the way back, basically all the way back up among the leaders, and trying to face off against Sammy Swindell, who broke the track record and is running like a rocket. It's going to be very difficult for him.
Well, we saw Bobby Watson again trying to get this field lined up the way he feels they ought to be, and he is the boss and considered one of the best in dirt track racing officialdom.
It'll be a controversy, though. There'll be some talk about this after this race is over. We've got a green on the back straightaway. Sammy Swindell, one more perfect restart as he blasts out in front of everybody. Behind him, Danny Smith seems to have taken a hold of second place. But there's Mike Ward into the fence on the inside of the track. An awful crash on the 61. And more cars into a Bobby Davis Jr. also involved.
Also, it is number 23, Greg Woolley. Chris Eash, number 17. E is involved in this thing. And as far as Mike Ward was concerned, the tag he took on the inside wall wasn't that bad. He came across the racetrack. It was getting T-boned that has done the severe damage here. This is a serious, serious accident.
Oh, it absolutely is, Steve. Mike Ward tumbled down the front straightaway upside down a couple of times before being tagged by Bobby Davis Jr. And, of course, the Davis crews, there are more cars upside down in the foreground. We can identify the 2H or Rich Bubeck, otherwise we can't tell who's involved.
Now watch the fifth car in this picture. He comes down and hits Mike Ward. That forces Mike to the left. He takes a brutal shot on the inside retaining wall, but now his troubles really begin. Hard to believe a 1,250-pound car could get this high in the air. The wing is of no use here because he never really gets upside down. Now you'll see, coming into the picture, the number 10 car, Bobby Davis Jr. He could not possibly avoid Mike Ward. When Davis got on the brakes, he was rear-ended by the red 29 car you see on the left. That is Jim Bowden. But there was more damage than just that quartet. Mike Ward continued to take a beating.
He's the one that was hit the hardest and the one we're most concerned about at this particular moment, he and Bobby Jr. Let's take one more look at it as we watch Ward tumbling down the front straightaway toward turn number 1. This cluster of cars coming right in behind him. There's the 29 car getting up on top of the 10 car of Bobby Davis Jr. That's Jim Bowden. And once more impacted is the 61 car of Mike Ward. And finally, Chris Eash in the 17E crashes into the whole lot. A really rugged collision. And let's hope everybody walks away all right. Notice, too, on the left side of your screen that 4 other cars are also tangled up. That's Bubeck, Kenny Conrad, Greg Hodden, and Greg Woolley. They are not as seriously damaged. Now, here's an extraordinary view of this crash. Here is Bobby Davis Jr. trying to slow down and is hit from the rear by Jim Bowden. Terrific impact. But now, let's go down to Steve at the scene of the crash.
Well, Brock, you hear the roar of the crowd behind me? It's because Mike Ward of Memphis, Tennessee is crawling out of this demolished sprint car. He was unconscious momentarily. They had put a neck brace on him. They were lifting him out. He came to, grabbed the neck brace, threw it away. Oh, these men are so very, very tough. He's obviously shaken, and I'm sure he'll go to the hospital. But as you can see, he's moving under his own power. Right now, let's go to Brock with Bobby Davis Jr.
Well, Steve, I'm probably with the most disappointed young man in the place right now. Bobby Davis Jr., of course, back at the back of the field after running in second spot, then involved in that crash. I guess most important of all, though, Bobby, are you all right?
Oh, sure. I'm okay. You know, that number 10 car is real safe, and I just hope all the other drivers are okay.
Everybody seems to be all right. Exactly what happened? I know you were trying to run up through the field, obviously, to get back.
Well, like when we was riding around there, this Memphis racetrack has got a problem with the drain in on the front straightaway, and the water just runs down on the front straightaway. Well, the reason it just took a left right into the fence way in front of me. And he was flipping way up in the air, and I was trying to dodge him, and then I was done slowed down and everything. And I guess the guys behind me never even seen him or nothing, and they just started hitting me, and I hit Mike, and it just kept on like a chain reaction.
Well, unfortunately, it's what happens in this kind of competition every once in a while. The most important thing is that you're all right. We know you'll come back and get up front again, but once again, we're sorry you're out.
Okay, thank you.
Constantly change, so you might start out with a perfect setup. Racetrack switches around on you, and you wish you had another setup. As we head down for the green flag for the B main here at Memphis, Steve.
12 laps of racing, 10 go to the A main. It is 5W Randy Wolf on the point. Number 8, Craig Keel, the red machine, trying to take him on the outside.
All right, there goes. Oh, big trouble in turn number 2. That's Steve Beitler in the red 21. Rolled up along that steel guardrail. He's upside down as chief starter Richard Bailey throws the red flag to stop this race. It appears as if all the safety devices have functioned. The roll cage is intact. The shoulder harnesses and seatbelt stayed in place, so perhaps Beitler's okay, Steve.
Well, he may just be in an awkward position there, Brock, where if he unbuckles himself without some assistance, he's just going to fall on his head, compounding any injuries he might already have.
All right, let's take another look at how this happened. There is Beitler on the right side of your screen. Started 14th. He's trying to move around 6M. Tim Monson tumbles over Monson's rear wheel and takes 2 very hard flips, rolling along the fence and coming to rest upside down. Apparently, though, everything is all right. He's out of the car, and Steve's with him.
You know, they've called for an ambulance, and Steve is saying, I don't need an ambulance. I don't want an ambulance. If I have to go to the ambulance, I'll walk there on my own. Typical sprint car bravado. He appears to be okay. The emergency crews are here. And all he wants to do right now is go back to his own trailer and lay down. Pretty good sprint out here for us as well. But it's worth it to see the relief in everybody's eyes. Steve, you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right, yeah.
A nasty one, though.
Well, I told my dad I'd get on TV one way or the other. I guess this is it. It ain't the way I wanted it, though.
No, I hadn't planned on meeting you quite like this. Do you know what happened? It happened so quickly.
Yeah, somebody in front of me, I think it was Ronnie Daniels, bicycled real hard. When he come down, there just was nowhere to go. We were running real hard in the middle groove, and I ran up over his tire, and the speed on this track, it's not very forgiving. When you get up on 2 wheels and it comes down, man, it takes off.
Well, you got to be proud of the race car and the men that build it.
Yeah, Ozcar, they're built in Indiana. They do a real good job. I have a lot of faith in their work.
Right, maybe you should go to the ambulance, huh?
Nah, I'm okay.
Okay, thanks.
Let's ride you over in the car.
Well, certainly he's just fine in the attitude department, and that was pretty typical of any kind of open-wheel crash. When rubber meets rubber, something is going to happen, whether it's on a road course, an oval, or here on the dirt. But this car will race again. Most of the damage is in the suspension pieces. As you can see, the chassis is still good and straight. But what about the other machine, the 6M car of Tim Monson, who Steve Beitler ran over? Brock's there to check that out. Trying to steer themselves in all of the grooves that we've been talking about on this racetrack. This is real, man. Oh, and Mike Ward is in trouble in turn 3. A couple of lazy loops, lands right side up, even with the wing still on it. Well, one thing you can say about outlaw crashes, there are no 2 alike. Let's take a look in slow motion and see if we can determine what caused this man, Mike Ward, to flip that number 88 car and do really so little damage. When this happened, as we'll see, in front of Mike was the 11X car, Jeff Swindell. Behind him, the pretty black machine, number 2 of Andy Hillenberg. Hillenberg goes around Mike, and he wasn't touched by anybody. The car just flat got out of control. It may well be the racetrack surface we talked about earlier, but what an interesting incident. If you could design your own crash, this is the kind of one you'd want to happen. Not only are you okay, but basically the machine is okay, and there's a good chance Mike Ward will rejoin the action.
Mike Ward, are you all right?
Yeah.
This is better than the last time I saw you when you went out upside down.
Yeah, a little bit better.
What happened?
Caught a rut and it bicycled, and she just went over from there.
Thank God for wings, right?
Yeah, I don't think we hurt too much. We're going to go back out there.
Good, good. Well, we sure hope so. Glad to see you're okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mike Ward, apparently all right. He says we're going to try to get going. I think maybe even this race car is ready to run. They're checking over the front wing, which seemed to have taken a little damage, and the top wing, the big wing, has only got a little bit of a dent. He must have made a nice clear loop. That would be about a 9 if he was a professional diver.
Price Jr. in front, enjoying the race of his life here in Memphis as he leads him down. Oh, and look at Andy Hillenburg, the 2-car. Oh, Jack Hewitt, the orange machine, is out of the park. We have got, well, a serious incident, Brock. At least 3 cars involved.
That's Todd Kane and the other car, the 63. Both he and Hillenburg upside down on the racetrack. And as you said, Jack Hewitt completely out of the park in turn number 3. Obviously, the field has been red flagged. The emergency vehicles are headed for the scene. That, too, of course, is the place where we had that big run in the racetrack. I don't know whether that's a factor. Jack Hewitt out of the car. Thank goodness. He is all right. That race car completely out of the park. Here comes Andy Hillenburg crawling out of that black number 2, that beautiful automobile. And here comes, thankfully, Todd Kane emerging from his accident. So we've got 3 drivers apparently all right.
Well, Jack Hewitt certainly is healthy, but you may have noticed Andy Hillenburg was a bit rocky and needed some support in walking away from that vehicle. Here it is again. Watch the black number 2 car, Andy Hillenburg. On his outside is the 56 car, Danny Smith. They may have touched there. Whatever happened caused this incident. Andy Hillenburg upside down. Jack Hewitt had nowhere to go. Neither did Todd Kane in the 63 car. Hillenburg really triggered a chain reaction here at what is very close to being the fastest part of the racetrack. Brock is with Jack Hewitt, a lucky man.
Well, Jack Hewitt, tell me exactly what happened, Jack. First of all, you're apparently okay.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
That's good. How did we get into it? What happened?
We really all got to jumping up and bunching up in the back straightaway, and we come in here. All I seen was Andy flipping, and I was kind of committed to the high side, and him and Todd got together, and I just didn't have no place to go, you know, and I just ran into him, and it put us on the other side of the concrete wall.
One of those sprint car racing deals, huh?
Yeah, if we didn't have that now and then, I guess all them people up there wouldn't be down there doing this.
That's right, absolutely. Well, we're just glad you're okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jack.
You okay, Bill?
Is that a tough guy? You better believe it. As he walks over to talk with Todd Kane, who appears to be all right. And now let's go to Steve with Andy Hillenburg.
Well, Brock, Andy Hillenburg is shaken, as you might well imagine. I'm a little bit shaken just having watched what we saw here in turn number 3. Apparently his elbow is bothering him. We'll try to get a word with him if he's comfortable, but that may not be possible. I think the man needs some rest, maybe more than anything else. Andy, you okay?
Yeah, just a little dizzy.
Rough racetrack?
Yeah, it's pretty rough, pretty fast, so kind of easy to get in trouble.
Indeed. Let's let him rest.
Well, as safe as these sprint cars have become, the big wing, certainly part of that, there is still always the threat of physical injury. Jack Hewitt, a lucky man, as his 23S car flew completely out of the park. Todd Kane's car has sustained major damage. Even the racetrack has suffered. The flipping machines have dug even some new holes. Let's go to Brock Yates with Todd Kane.
First of all, Todd, are you okay?
Oh, yeah. Just shook up a little bit, but I'm all right.
What happened? You and Andy must have gotten into it together, or was he going before you got into
Andy
it?
Hit a rut and got sideways, and then he was already kind of flipping, and then Jack's on the outside, and then I think I hit Andy, and then I hit Jack over the wall. I mean, it just all broke loose. Plus, they're all bunched up there tight, then just something happened. I think he hit a rut there somewhere back there and just kind of got him sideways, and then Jack was there and I was there. I had nowhere to go and just drove right into it.
Were you flat out? I mean, were you coming? You were running hard, huh?
Yeah.
You guys tend to start about on turn 2 here.
I started coming out of turn 2. I mean, because all bunched up. I thought they were going, so I went for it. Maybe that's the time I should have kind of relaxed. If I could do relax here.
You're with the back, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're okay. That's what's most important right now.
Right, it is. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, indeed, Brock. He gets tremendous respect wherever he goes. These are high-gear-only machines. The driver just mashes on the pedal and unleashes almost 800 horsepower into turn number 1.
Oh, big crash. That is Rick Unger taking a wild ride down into turn number 1. He got hooked in traffic as he came down to take the green flag. This, a couple of very vicious snap rolls. The emergency crew's immediately on the scene. Rick not out of the vehicle yet. These are pretty dangerous situations, Steve, even though they got roll bars and all the rest of it because of that giant G-force that's exerted on the driver, despite the fact that he's held in with a safety harness.
This is as violent a single car crash as we have ever seen in the world of Outlaws. Let's watch Rick Unger and see who he makes contact with. Right there, the 6M car of Tim Monson kind of drove over, tagged him, and this was the result. Into the fence, onto the wall. He hit everything you could hit.
Well, in the old days before roll bars and wings, this would have severely injured or perhaps even killed the driver outright. But fortunately, the protection that's afforded by the wings and the roll cages probably saved Rick Unger's life. He certainly was kept in the park by the fence, but then, of course, rolled along the retaining wall, which could cause terrible injury. Let's take another look at how it happened. There's the green light, as you see, just snapped on for the start of the race, and Unger shoved up against the fence and then does this multi-barrel roll down into turn number 1. As we see the ambulance arriving on the scene, Unger conscious, certainly no broken bones apparently, but a badly shaken young man. Steve's on the scene. Unger, who's done such a good job in 4A and was running strong, and then all of a sudden it just came apart right after the green. What happened, Rick?
I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I tried to go, felt like we could go around the guy on the outside getting into one there. I forget what car it was, 6M or something. Yeah. Apparently I just misjudged or yeah, something. I don't really know what happened, to tell you the truth. I just got over his wheel somehow.
Oh, that's the most dangerous part of sprint car racing, when you get pinched up against the fence. In the old days, of course, without the cages and the wings, that's when you could really get hurt. But thank God we got those safety devices that help you to walk away.
Yeah, that's all very important. I don't like racing too much without a wing.
You feel okay? You get just a
basically
little. You took a couple of real hard flips.
I always close my eyes when I know it's getting ready to happen. So it felt like it was hitting pretty hard. In a case like that, you just think, oh God, just please stop. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're sure glad you're okay, and we'll look forward to seeing you again down the trail.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Used to call consolation races.
Well, it's in this race you can salvage an otherwise poor evening. If you're not in the top 8 here, you're on the trailer and off the payroll. More importantly, in formation, they come out of turn number 4, and yes, they see the green flag. The B main is underway, 12 laps, and already they're duking it out. And we've got one into the inside fence, Brock.
Well, that is Paul Hart out of Troy, Tennessee, one of the local drivers who just got tagged coming down for the start. So he's going to climb out of the car. No apparent damage to the automobile, but the caution is out, so we're not going to have a red flag, and I'm going to stop the field. But we're going to have an emergency vehicle out here to clear away Hart's car. He apparently is convinced that the race car is finished for the evening because, yeah, the front suspension is pretty well beat up. So he's kind of done. I don't know whether he wants to have a talk with one of the other drivers or what. Yeah, I think he's a little displeased with somebody out there, Steve.
And I think that might have been the 3H car driver, Greg Hodden. He kind of said, like, why did you do that to me? Well, let's see if anybody did anything to anybody. Watch the 32 car, the orange machine. That is Paul Hart. And right there is a bit of contact made with the 3H car of Greg Hodden, and that puts that machine into the fence with pretty minimal damage. And it's incredible, as we've commented before, the kind of bumping these cars can take and still survive. And here in a typical minor sprint car crash, a few $100 will buy a right front wheel and some suspension bits. But the ultimate example of how totally durable these machines are happened earlier in the crash we showed you with Rick Unger, the 4A car. Well, Paul, the story of this weekend has been either you're out of trouble or in huge trouble. You're the only car that had medium-sized trouble, just a spin.
Yeah, on the start down there, got a pretty good start. Boy, come down on me and caught my front end, wiped it out, spun me around 2 or 3 times, hit the wall, you know, same old stuff, ruined the front end.
In some ways you can count your blessings.
Oh, yeah, it didn't go over, so we're all right.
Thanks. Pace car is pulling over to the inside and is exiting the racetrack. We could have a start this time around.
Always critical, Steve. These first couple of laps are the ones that can cause the problems as Don Kreitz Jr. brings the field down relatively slowly. We have a pretty conservative start. They come off turn 4. He bobbles, and we've got trouble already in turn number 4. That's Mike Ward. His left rear tire, you can see that's cut down. That's the number 2 automobile of Steve Siegel. He is in trouble. That's the 1 car of Eddie Gallagher up against the fence, and the 17 car of Ronnie Daniels upside down.
Not unusual in a 24-car start. Everybody tries to avoid it, but sometimes if this doesn't happen, you're just not being aggressive enough. Let's take a look at it again and watch the 88 car, the blue and white machine of Mike Ward.
Now, it may be that this very slow start, notice Don Kreitz Jr. bobbles on the pole, and Jeff Swindell jumps right out to a lead. It was a very kind of easy, non-outlaw start. And you see the trouble begin right in the middle there. There's the 88 of Mike Ward, the 7 car of Randy Smith already sideways. And then the trouble begins as the 17 car to Ronnie Daniels comes right our camera, and he bounces off the fence. He's the one that appears to have sustained the most damage. Mike Ward, boy, he's always in it. We've had just more incidents with Mike, and most of them not his fault. As we watch everybody come to a halt to field his red flag, there's Ronnie Daniels out of the car trying to get his automobile off the fence. And Steve Evans has made his way up to turn 4 to the scene.
Well, as you can see here, the 17 car is up against the fence, and the challenge right now is to figure out how to get it out of here without doing any more damage than is already done. Driver Ronnie Daniels is already out of the car. He's fine. There really wasn't that high a speed involved. Ronnie right now more concerned with his race car than he is anything else and getting this show back underway. Now, this car may be fit to run depending on how much time they have, and that really is his concern. Ronnie, you think she might run again?
Yeah, I think we can make it work.
I don't know if you could hear him. He said, I don't think it'll need any major work. So that's a story down here. These guys are really confident they can get this car back into the race. And Daniels is not an isolated case. Another driver who wants to make the restart is the 88 car and Mike Ward. And his damage appears to be concentrated right there on the left side in the rear. Brock Yates is there.
Mike Ward, tell me what happened. I know you got into it. Everybody just got sideways and you couldn't avoid it.
Everybody just started bunching up together and start piling on top of each other, then bumping from the rear. It's just
one of those deals, huh?
In the middle of the pack deals.
Did you hurt the car bad enough so you can restart it, or it looks like just her left rear's hurt?
Left rear, the pitman arm's broke. I think we can get it back together, though.
Well, we hope so.
Thank you.
All right, the entire turn 4 area of the racetrack is mobbed with crewmen as they try to work on the race car. This is Ronnie Daniels' crew trying to get their car back on its wheels.
Well, as you can see, they are very tenderly, literally hand carrying the 17 car off of the fence under the direction of Ronnie Daniels, the driver himself. And from what we can see here, it definitely needs a new left rear wheel and tire. The wing could probably be run as it is, but if they have the time, they'll slap a new one on. And other than a few bent Nerf bars, this car may again live to race tonight. You know, it's really interesting talking to these guys like Mike and like Ronnie and Rick Unger earlier after that horrifying crash. They're so calm and cool and even polite to us, and our crews are an amazing bunch of motorsports athletes. All right, let's check on the third member of that crash, Steve Siegel. Brock's there.
Steve Siegel, can you get it back together, you think, or not?
Yeah, we got it almost done now. We just got to put a tie rod on it and front wing, and we should be all right.
These horses are tough, aren't they?
Oh, man, I guess so.
You just got in and nothing you could do, right?
Yeah, we got in. I got hooked on somebody's front bumper, and it just kind of drug me through it, so not much you can do.
You just tore this radius arm loose?
Broke it in half, and we had another one. The guy come running out and put it on, so try and go again.
Instant pit stop. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Good luck, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
The wonderful Outlaws, they never whine and they never cry. They never blame anybody else for their problems. And as Mike Ward said, this is just stuff that happens.
One of those middle-of-the-pack deals, I think, were his exact words. And, you know, the Outlaws are running, they run so tight and run so hard that they really kind of expect this sort of thing to happen. The race cars are strong, the drivers are strong, and they kind of live with these little crashes on occasion. In fact, they really are part of the show in many ways, and thank goodness the race cars are strong and safe, and these guys can get them back together and keep themselves together so they can race again.
Ronnie Daniels is out of the car. And even though you really couldn't continue, what a job your crew did to get this car ready.
Well, there was a pretty good bit of damage done to the car, but our only chance was if it had another red or a yellow were to follow up where we maybe have another minute or so. Need to replace the wing.
drive an unsafe automobile, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you got to try. Whenever you get a chance, you got to try to take the best you can. Thank you.
Almost 130 miles an hour down that straightaway and into turn number 1. Bruce Young in the 1Y car out of Union Grove, Wisconsin, jumps out into the lead off the pole, Steve Evans.
And 11E, the blue and white car of Dave Akers, settles down into that second spot, followed by 4C. That's the white machine. Todd Bishop fighting the wheel on that particular car. Roger Rager, the 3 car, he's in the 4th position. We've got problems in turn 1. Leland McSpadden, Brock, is tangled with 31 white. Oh, and here is Bobby Allen slamming into Randy Smith, and he is upside down right in the middle of the racetrack. The red flag is out. This heat has been stopped for obvious reasons. Bobby Allen appears to be okay.
One of the great veterans of the world of Outlaws, a former go-kart champion, Bobby Allen, out of the car okay. Now let's take another look at how this happened. A big traffic jam down into turn number 1. Leland McSpadden in the 12 is forced into the rear end of Randy Smith in the 31 car. They both come sliding to a halt. Apparently no damage to those automobiles, but not to happen to Bobby Allen, who arrives on the scene a little bit late. And this is what happens to Allen. He tries to go high, but Randy Smith's car spins right up into his path, and there is a relatively slow flop, kind of a low roll on the part of Bobby Allen. Fortunately, that big wing and roll cage protect him from injury, but the car is badly damaged. From another angle, there is McSpadden on the left of your screen in the blue 12. There is Randy Smith, now impacted by Bobby Allen in the 1A, 1 roll. Another car slides underneath the second roll by Bobby Allen, bends up the wing badly in the front end. He is out of the car and unhurt. Steve is with him.
Well, Bobby Allen appears to be okay, Brock, but the 1A car has suffered some severe damage. As you can see, the right front wheel is bent all the way out. That means some severe suspension damage. There's quite a bit of damage to the big tall wing, but the best news is, Bobby Allen, you're okay? Yeah. Bobby's all right. Bobby, exactly what did happen? It was a pretty hectic lap there.
Well, they run down, they got grease on the front stretch, and 2 of them run the grease, and they run into each other, and they slid out in front of me and turned me over.
Through for the night?
I think so. I don't know if we can get ready in time for the B or not.
All right, thank you, Bobby.
Well, Steve, I don't think that's possible because you'll have to finish among the top 8 to advance tonight. The top 4 to the A main, the second 4 to the B main. Bobby Allen, unless he can get this thing ready and back into this heat, which looks unlikely, he is through for the night.
And you know, Brock, this was a pretty typical open-wheel racing kind of a crash. Unlike stock cars where they just bang sheet metal, here you get rubber to rubber. And when that happens, somebody is going to get upside down. In this case, it happened to be Scruffy. Poor Bobby Allen took the brunt of it, and it was really no fault of his own. He just had absolutely no place to go. But you can see as the car starts to roll, the wing takes up a great deal of the shock. That's what they're for, that and downforce.
So Bobby Allen out in a nasty little crash. Almost before the race started, the second lap here, the third heat, he is finished for the night. Rider Rocky is, and he really knows his way around this racetrack.
But he was having some control problems. Oh, and Rocky Hodges gets tagged by the 32 red and yellow car of Dave Fitzgerald, and that has put Rocky into the mud.
And look at that mire. Boy, would they love that stuff down in Naples, Florida, Steve, as Rocky tries to extract himself. We are under yellow here, as the field will reform once they get Rocky restarted, if in fact they can do it. It's hard to say what kind of damage he suffered in that little bang off Fitzgerald down the front straightaway.
Well, let's have another look. Here is Rocky Hodges, the orange car. He had been moving up through the field pretty well, then got into some control problems, and all of a sudden, here comes a 32 car. Fitzgerald gives him a good shot on the right front wheel. Rocky goes into a drift, avoids the pole in the wall, but does end up mired in the mud, and I'm sure we will not see that car restart here in the 5th heat race.
So, Steve, we've had 3 of the big players suffer already tonight. Jimmy Sills did not make the cut on his heat. Bobby Allen crashed, and now Rocky Hodges is out of the race.
To continue his chase on Hillenberg, and he got by both of them.
Beautiful move by Wolfgang. Wolfgang driving like the master he is in this particular event. Boy, he's just burning up the racetrack. Beautiful. Whoa!
We got a tangle in turn number 1. The blue car of Joey Allen, the red car of Richard Griffin. Griffin is right side up, Allen is on his side. He rolled over kind of gently. I doubt in these well-built cars that there's any injury involved, but for sure the red flag is out to stop this C-feature event.
So everybody comes to a halt on the main straightaway. The red flag flies. The emergency vehicle getting underway just to make sure everybody's all right out there. But there comes Joey Allen out of his wrecked car, and of course Richard Griffin already out of his.
And they should have the track cleared in a moment. You know, Brock, this fairgrounds is more than just a great racetrack. Earlier, I toured the convenient accommodations for out of town. And Bobby, you found out here, unfortunately, earlier this season, back in April, that traffic can play a big part in your success. You were leading the race, and all of a sudden, what happened?
Well, we was leading the race, like you said, and we went in turn one, and we was lapping a lap car, and it was really rough that night. And he just started bouncing. I passed him, actually, and he started bouncing in front of me, and he kind of come back underneath me, and I run over his right rear tire, and we got in the fence pretty hard.
Did you learn something about the track and about that kind of maneuvering that day, that night?
Well, no, you know, everybody was kind of jumping around that night, and it was just a basic rough racetrack, and it was really fast that night, so I think it was just one of them things that happened, really.
With all the prestige and all the money on the line, would you expect a very physical race?
Yeah, it'll be physical, and everybody will be 100% out for it.
Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
We've got to start.
And the place to watch is at the very back of the field. Remember, that's where the quick guys are in these inverted. Oh, and Sammy Swindell of the black #1 car comes together with Leland McSpadden, the blue and white #91 machine. And Swindell is parked right in the middle of the racetrack. That is going to bring out the yellow flag. Swindell, many-time World of Outlaws champion, right now has got some problems. They'll have to get a truck out there, get that thing restarted, and then hope that there's no damage. They may have time to repair something minor, but certainly nothing major at all. It'll only be just a few moments before this heat is restarted. Jeff, you think it's tough on you. Your big brother's having his share of problems. There is the black #1 car, Sammy Swindell, rejoining the field as they circle around here. We're only just moments away from a restart of heat #2. Right now, Brock, let's take a look and see just what happened between Sammy Swindell and Leland McSpadden.
Okay, watch the right center of your screen. The black #1 of Swindell slides into the white 91 of Leland McSpadden, and then 17E, Chris Eash, looks as if he nicks Swindell as he slides by on the low side.
From another angle, watch the center of your screen, and the whole thing will unfold. First, it's McSpadden getting sideways, and then all of the rest of the action occurs. Should be interesting for us and for Sam to see how that car behaves after the mugging that it just took on the track.
So there is Swindell parked, but managed to get back underway and didn't lose a whole lot of time. So we're back on a restart here, the second heat, the Marion County Fairgrounds.
Confers with the crew, gets the earplugs out. And Sam, if you're going to spin, you might as well do it on the first lap so at least you maintain your position.
Yeah, well, I just kind of got trapped. Got a real good start, went in between some guys. Guys right on the bottom and left a big hole in the middle, but Leland got sideways and spun in front of me, and I was just going too fast. You know, I expected him just to drive on in, and he didn't.
All right, we'll see you in the main event.
Okay.
Move through this field as the green flag drops.
Well, let's remember that car on the outside of the back row, Dave Blaney, is the quickest qualifier of them all. Oh, in turn #1, they are in the fence. There's a multi-car incident. In turn #1, this race will be stopped immediately.
We've got a car outside the track, Steve. One went right through the fence. It looks like Marlon Jones in the #9. That race car spilled upside down as Danny Tolman's 2V. He is still in that automobile. Now you hear the applause from this giant crowd. That means that Marlon Jones is out of his race car. John Cernette is out of the car. Dave Blaney is apparently all right, but right now the concern is directed at Danny Tolman in that automobile. There's one of the emergency workers trying to get him unhooked. Let's hope he's all right. These roll cages are very stout, but they're never quite stout enough. So concern here spreading through this giant audience. There is Marlon Jones, #9. Believe it or not, he walked out of that race car. Completely out of the park, Steve, but note, roll cage intact, and that big wing apparently helped to cushion the automobile. But it's going to be some time before they get that fence repaired. There he is. Danny Tolman out of the race car. He, too, is all right. So we got 4 cars totally destroyed, but thankfully 4 drivers all right.
And now it's time to take another look at this one, Brock. One of the most spectacular accidents that we have ever seen in our 6-year coverage of World of Outlaw Racing. I don't have to tell you that it all happened right here in turn number 1.
An incredible, almost like a train wreck, as these cars literally disintegrate into that fence outside turn number 1. Unbelievable that these drivers were apparently uninjured as we watch this wreckage begin to be strewn all over the racetrack here at Knoxville. Okay, let's take another look as they come down the front straightaway toward the green flag. All right, watch the white number 2. That's Marlon Jones and the number 9 cutting in front of him. And then Jones slides up against the 14S of John Cernette, which causes him to flip. Danny Toman in the 2V rolls. Marlon Jones goes through the fence. Dave Blaney in the 48 car goes through the wreckage, picking up shrapnel. His car is badly damaged, but does not roll. The only one of the 4 not to get upside down. That is John Cernette being led to the ambulance. He looks as if he's all right, but they will check all of these drivers to make sure that there isn't any hidden injuries. But Cernette at this point appears to be all right. Not so with his race car, which is a total wreck. Back on its wheels, they'll clear it away as they will the other automobiles. And now let's go down to Steve on the scene.
Well, Brock, the cleanup still in process down here in turn number 1. As you know, a multi-car accident, including one completely over or actually through the fence. But the good news is, miraculously enough, everyone is A-OK. A lot of shaken drivers, a lot of them have already gone back to the pits to either try to get a quiet moment or to maybe find some parts to try to repair these cars. But again, everyone is okay.
And truly a miracle and a testimony to the safety of these automobiles as Danny Toman gets a hug. Remember, he was trapped in his race car for a while, causing concern. Steve, can you get him?
Danny, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Did you tell from your seat what triggered it?
The white car in front of me, the guy right in front of me got a little crossed up there getting into this turn. Whenever I let off throttle, the guy in the back of me just shoved me right into him, and I crawled over him.
Well, considering the carnage we're looking at down here, it's a real testimony to the people that build these cars that you are okay, all of you.
Yeah, it is. I think that sprint car organizations ought to go to a cage limit on these cars, because that's a 120 wall cage, and I think that ought to be made mandatory, and they need some way to check them, because they'll hold up better.
Okay, Danny endorsing a heavier wall tubing in these sprint car cages. Let's hope everybody's listening. And let's not forget the value of these great big wings. They absorbed an awful lot of shock in this incident. It could have been worse without them. Now, there is the crew of the 48 car, the Dave Blaney machine. They know they have one of the quickest sprinters here this weekend. They want to get it back in action if at all possible. And right now, Brock Yates is with the man that'll drive it if they can get it fixed.
Steve, I'm with Dave Blaney, who was in the middle of that. And just run down exactly what happened to you, Dave.
Well, I kind of was trailing along the outside fence there on the start, and it looked like a couple guys got tangled up in the middle of the racetrack, and they just come skating out to the outside and all got in the fence.
You tore up the front end, but do you think you can get it fixed?
Yeah, it looks like it right now. I got about 30 guys working on it. Yeah, I think we'll get it fixed.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Well, Brock, if they can't get it fixed, it won't be for the want of hands. I think his estimate of 30 people might be just a little bit low. They are manhandling that car. They already have a new wing on the top of it, working on the suspension bit. And here's another crew with a different set of tools. Hammers, chainsaws, welders, post hole diggers. The crew of Knoxville Raceway trying to get that fence back in shape just as quickly as possible.
So that is a critical position for those guys because they've got to catch up to the other Andy Hillenberg. Oh, 61. That is Wayne Redmond. His car's on fire, as is he. Yes, that car somehow has caught fire. Fire extinguisher crews on the scene. He's got a Nomex suit on. He should be all right. Let's hope so. But he took a pretty good lick down there. That is down at turn number 4. It brings out the caution flag. That's Bobby Watson, the World of Outlaws chief steward. He is calling for an ambulance. Clearly, Redmond is in trouble. He's got to be in pain. Wayne, you all right?
Oh, yeah. Things just got a little warm, that's all.
What happened?
I really don't know. It was alcohol. I could smell it was fuel. I knew that, and that's why I was pulling it in, but didn't make it that far. It let go.
Thank goodness for those old Nomex suits, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. With just a brand new suit here. Just got my fiance just bought for me a good thick one, and I'm glad it was, too. That's for sure.
Glad you're okay.
Thank you.
They better maintain maintain those positions. That's the only way they are going to go to the A main to come.
Oh, up against the fence and upside down. A big crash. Al Schmidt and Billy Valauer in turn number 1. It appears as if the drivers are all right. Once again, a really hard spill as the field headed down into turn number 1. There's the 25 car of Schmidt and the number 12X of Billy Valauer. Both cars upright, both drivers apparently all right. The emergency crews checking for fire as Valauer starts to unhook. Let's take another look at this, Steve.
Watch center right on your screen, and you'll see the 25S car of Al Schmidt get completely sideways right there, the white car. Along comes 12X Billy Valauer and T-bones him. He had nowhere to go. You know he was hard on the brakes. Now, actually, it's Valauer who gets the worst of this. His car does a multi-flip while never quite getting upside down as Al Schmidt.
Well, as you can see, Steve, it looked as if Valauer tried to go outside and had the way blocked as Schmidt got up against the fence, and then Valauer, as you said, took a giant tumble, tore the wing totally off that race car. As we said earlier, yet another example of how those wings absorb all that energy.
And that's why Billy Valauer and Al Schmidt are both so happy to have those wings on board. Looks like Billy might be shaking off a little bit of a foot injury there. I'm sure it's nothing serious. They're lucky. Hard Rock is moving up on him is a man from Sydney, Australia, Max Dumpsey in the 5A car, making this an international field.
It sure is. They're crazy for sprint car racing. Down under trouble in turn number 1. That is number 57S, Steve Brazil, and he tangled with the 2-car, Bruce Moore, who is also up against the fence. But the car with the real problem is the 57. There is Brazil climbing out of the race car. He is obviously all right. But a big crash in turn number 2. In fact, the man still in the car is Bruce Moore. Bruce Moore from Moline, Illinois, one of the real veterans in this business. He's still sitting in the race car. And folks over there, some of the emergency crews checking him out. Whether or not he's all right, we do not know at this point.
Well, there's confirmation of the good health of Steve Brazil as he walks away. His body is intact, but I'm sure right now his mind is wondering exactly what happened. But, Brock, these are the kind of crashes you see, unfortunately, quite often in this kind of open-wheeled action.
Oh, absolutely. As the crews work over it now, he's climbing out. Bruce Moore getting out of the race car. So under his own power and maybe shaken up a little bit, but apparently all right.
Well, in their battle for the 12th position, when they did get together, it was really Steve Brazil in the 57S car that had the wilder ride. The car actually standing right up on its nose. And again, neither driver injured. Right now, let's go to Brock Yates for more on this incident.
Veteran driver Bruce Moore was in a pretty nasty tangle. What happened up here in turn 1?
Well, it was a little more greasy on the bottom than I thought, and it was just driver error, plain and simple. I cooked it in a little hard on the bottom and lost it. It was real sticky on the top, and we didn't get enough hot laps to know what the track was like, so just one of those things.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. A little disappointed, but that's the way it goes, I guess.
Well, we're glad that these old roll cages held up for you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
And now let's go to Steve with Steve Brazil, the other man in the crash.
Well, Steve, in this sport, these things seem to happen so fast that a driver really doesn't have a chance often to defend himself.
That's right. You got nowhere to go sometimes, and it's just what happens.
Exactly what happened from your cockpit? What could you see? What could you feel?
Car spun in front of me, and I just kind of got loose, and there I went.
Let's hope the damage isn't too bad, and we see you soon.
Hope so.
Thanks a lot.
Down the front straightaway, but right behind him, challenging is the 5M of Andy Ellenberg.
And it is number 18, Doug Wolfgang, already moving up through the pack. If he can get around, yes, he does. He gets by the 1J car. That puts him in the 8th position.
But remember, Steve, he must get into first or second to advance into the next race. So it's a long way to go for Doug Wolfgang. But he's charging, and they're all, oh, look at this. We've got a blown engine coming down the front straightaway. That's 3B Jim Grafton. Up against, no, he does stay, keeps it off the fence, but he's definitely out, and we will have a caution. Now, this is an advantage for Doug Wolfgang. There is no chance at this point for the leaders to break out in front of him. It'll close the field back up and give the Wolf yet another opportunity to run down a few more cars. So as a crewman checks on that little engine fire in the Grafton automobile, let's remember, Steve, that another man who is making a major move toward the front is Kenny Jacobs in that red 56 automobile. He started beside Wolfgang in that middle row and has now moved in front of them. All right, the field, 10 of them formed up 2 by 2, 10 laps in this particular heat. Coming down off turn number 4, looking for starter Doug Clark's green flag, and Mike Montgomery on the point. And we've got a green, Steve.
We're racing at Knoxville. Number 17J, John Barger up front. He's got, ooh, Knoxville, Iowa. We have got a real tumble in turn 1.
That is the 12T car of Mike Tweed, who started on the inside of the second row and got pinched up against the outside wall. There you can see the rescue crews, and also critically important, the roll cage is absolutely intact. So it's probable that Mike is going to be all right, but they're going to check him out to make sure that he is uninjured.
And here, headed for the restart area, is the 4A car, Rick Unger. His crew will be dragging out a new left rear tire for that machine. Apparently he picked up a little damage himself, but we'll be able to restart. Let's take another look at exactly how this all unfolded. In front of the red 56 car, driven by Danny Smith, is the 12T car of Mike Tweed. Danny Smith has no responsibility here. He had absolutely nowhere to go. Now watch the 8D car of Doug Wolfgang. Barely avoids the confrontation. Wolfgang came awfully close to losing his race car for the night. And if you'll recall earlier in his conversation with Brock, that's something he was concerned about. Let's go to the driver of the 56 car.
Steve, I'm with Danny Smith, who was involved in that little altercation right off the bat. Exactly how did it start?
I was going through, kind of trying to go through the middle of the pack, and whoever that was turned sideways right in front of me with nowhere to go, and I hit him and knocked the front wing off and flattened the right front tire.
You hurt the race car at all?
No, we got her fixed. We're ready to go.
Okay, well, we'll be watching.
Thank you.
Well, it looks as if Danny Smith, as he says, has only received just minor damage on these very, very rugged race cars. There is Mike Tweed. He is apparently all right. They put a neck brace on him, but he's smiling, and I'm sure he's going to be all right. So we've still got a red flag here at Knoxville. Steve, what does it look like from your vantage point?
Well, the good news, Brock, is that Mike Tweed, the local driver, is out of the car. They took a while making sure they had a brace on his neck to prevent any further neck or spinal injuries. He's alert and mustering a smile every once in a while. Now, if you take a look at the wall, you can see why it rung his bell so very hard. The wing really didn't help a whole lot in this situation. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and went into it wing first. The roll bar and the wing braces knocking an incredible chunk out of this wall, as we can see right here. And this is pretty solid old timber right here. It took quite a lick. Again, the good news, he appears to be okay. Wow. The hospitality we have seen here has been terrific. Thank you, guys.
There is the 12 automobile of Cliff Woodward. He is on the high side. McMillan down low in the 32U, that red car. The white car, the 12 of Woodward, goes low into turn number 1, trying to get underneath McMillan. Off turn number, oh, they touch, and McMillan and Woodward. Woodward takes a terrible hit into the outside fence at turn number 2.
And to make matters worse, 56 Danny Smith trying to get through the accident, got involved instead, and he is out there laying on his side. But right now, the concern really is with Cliff Woodward, who appears, Brock, to be unconscious in the automobile.
Yes, and not surprisingly, because he took a very hard impact. Cliff Woodward out of Kearney, Missouri, started second and was running in second place when he tangled coming off turn number 2 and took a terrible hit.
And both drivers were leaving each other plenty of racing room. It was Woodward that had just gone under McMillan for that second spot, and suddenly on the back straight, just coming out of 2, the car slid up high for no reason at all. Jason McMillan had nowhere to go except hit that little Nerf bar on the back of the 12 car. That was all it took to turn it sideways and full throttle head on into the wall.
Absolutely. Cliff had to be on the throttle absolutely full as he was coming, accelerating off that corner. A giant disintegration of the race car, and then Danny Smith tags him in the 56 automobile to add perhaps even more injury to this very unfortunate driver. There you see Woodward rolling crazily, tumbling down the racetrack after hitting that steel arm coat barrier, and here comes Smith, tagged him again. A very, very serious accident.
As you can see, Cliff Woodward is being extricated from the remains of that automobile. He has a gash over his left eye and appears to be conscious, talking to the safety crews. That's always a good sign. There's a suspicion here of a broken shoulder, a broken arm, and some wrist damage, but nothing that won't heal. A good dice into turn number 1. Side by side into turn 2, shooting down the back stretch, but into turn number 3. It is Burrows into Berkner into the wall. The car stands right up on its nose and is hit hard by 26 Rick Bramer, who also sends 1M Mark Wallenda tumbling end over end in the turn 3 area. Take a look again. On the inside of the red car, that is Burrows. He tags Berkner, slides right into him, Berkner into the wall, and it looked like for a moment he might be able to keep from getting upside down. But that was not to be. But here came the real damage when the 26 car, Rick Bramer, tagged him right in the wing area, the car doing a pirouette. We're happy to report that all of the drivers, including Glenn Berkner, involved in this incident are A-OK. Feature, and here it is. 20 laps of racing here in Knoxville, Iowa. The Racy's men have worked so hard for it to make all night long. Thundering down into turn number 1, they're bumping towards the back. Number 30, Rick England, is crowded by 2X Bruce Moore. Rick had nowhere to go but into 21B Steve Beitler, and that started a chain reaction involving Kenny McCarl in the Ford C car, the Yellow Machine, Brian Tobin in 68, Tom Whiting in 96. Now watch at the top right of your screen, and you can see right there where England got nerfed by Bruce Moore. And interestingly enough, the two guys really at the front of this train wreck suffered the least amount of damage. In fact, the 21B car of Beitler trying to get back in it, the officials are saying no, there's too much front-end damage to this car. For his own safety, they're going to park it. All right, it's time to restart the A feature minus Beitler. He's going to be a real contender for this. Jimmy Sills, the 7N car, also moving to the front. Oh, big trouble on the back straight. A nasty multi-car crash. Emergency workers already on the scene. Let's see if we can tell what caused it. Right there in the center of your screen, the orange 23 car Jeff Gordon got sideways, and that caused a 4-car pileup. 21B Steve Beitler, 21K Steve Kent, 17 Ronnie Daniels, all involved in this one. And the report comes that all of the drivers are A-OK. They are out of the cars, and that's good news. I talked to Steve Kent when it was over.
Well, Brock, everyone took a hard ride in this one, including the 3-time California champ Steve Kent. Steve, you okay?
Yeah, when the thing came back down and landed, it landed backwards, and I saw it. I was way up in the air, and I knew I was going to hit pretty hard, and when I hit, it just kind of jolted me right in between my shoulders, and I just kind of feel like I got hit with a baseball bat or something.
Australia, New Zealand, for this kind of action, the start of the D main, the top 4 go to the C main.
Doug Clark waves the green as they sweep down into turn number 1, and already trouble. Randy Rosenboom and the 14R. The red flag is out for the Rosenboom crash. They'll stop on the main straightaway. Rosenboom quickly out of the car. The giant crowd cheering, obviously relieved what could have been a really nasty crash. Here we see the field coming down after taking the green flag from starter Doug Clark, and you can see that Rosenboom's car is pinched up against the fence by the 56 car of Guy Vicura. There he tags the wall really hard. One snap roll, that big wing cushioning the blow of the race car as it lands on its roll cage. One more hard bounce and back on its wheels. Fortunately, as we know now, this being a replay, that Rosenboom is out of the race car and apparently uninjured. Yes, there he is, standing in the middle of the track as they examine his race car. Steve is making his way to him.
Well, right now, Randy's biggest concern seems to be trying to put his glasses back together here. And that's just a classic example of how easy it is to get one of these sprint cars upside down. You don't necessarily have to hit another car. The wall will do it.
Yeah, that sure did it.
You're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Other than your glasses?
Yeah, my glasses
When did you first kind of go, oh, no, this could be upside down?
Oh, the one guy got a wheel into me, and that's when I knew it was going to happen.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
But now let's see if he can come from the back of the pack in the C-Main.
All right, we got a green down into turn number 1. It's a critical part. Ooh, a tangle again. Randy Turner, exactly the same spot that Randy Rosenboom hit the fence on the opening lap of the first feature race. He apparently is all right. Turner didn't hit quite as hard as Rosenboom, didn't get the car upside down, but he sure bent the rear suspension up pretty good on that 5 car.
Well, Randy's car will have to be removed from the racetrack. Start of the C-Main as they sweep down the main straightaway in front of this huge crowd. It is Jason McMillan. Whoa, and we've got contact and one into the wall hard. That is 83. Rod Henderson, who got the worst of it. Also the 1X car of Jerry Richard. Richard on the left of your screen, the emergency workers scrambling out there, and need I say the red flag is out again. Smoke still emanating from the 83 car of Rod Henderson. The brief fire has been put out, actually it extinguished itself, and we're waiting for a report on both those drivers.
Well, Henderson was sitting, as we said, in 3rd place, and on the restart got it up against the fence. There you see the opening stages of this first lap, and in the white car down low, that's Bruce Moore. He seems to tag the 83 automobile of Henderson, which shunts him right up into the fence. He takes a hard hit, rolls around, does a couple of 360s, flops over on its right side. The wing kind of rolls it back on its wheels just in time for Jerry Richard Jr. to tag him right in the right rear, tearing the rear end loose. Now, Richard kind of slews to a stop just in time to be almost tagged head-on by Gary Lee Meyer in the 111X. But the big damage was, of course, inflicted on the 83 automobile of Rod Henderson. There you see him rolling one more time. A little flash of fire from the right side of the engine, probably an oil fire from the dry sump system that got hit pretty hard by Richard. But the fire apparently goes out. No major damage. There you see Meyer tagging Richard one last time. And now let's go to Steve.
Brock, the wrecker has just arrived on the scene of the 1X car, and the driver, Jerry Reichert Jr., jumped out of the car and literally sprinted across the track and over the fence, possibly to get his crew together to try to prepare this car to get back into action. Depends on how long the red flag is out. They're still working on the 83 car. The axle, as you can see, is knocked out of place. The left front tire is a bit askew, but we've seen miracles before, and this just might be another one. Rod Henderson, Brock, is right now going into the ambulance. He is talking with the crews. He's wide awake, did not appear to be in any pain, very calm. They're going to transport him and make absolutely sure he does not have any head or neck injuries. But he appeared, from our vantage point anyway, to be in pretty good shape, considering the pounding that he took in this incident between turns 1 and 2. You certainly couldn't disagree looking at the lineup as they thunder down to turn number 1. Green flag is out. The B-Main and the Knoxville National. Oh, and there's trouble in back of the pack. 1, 2, 3 cars involved.
A big crash, 3 of them. That's Pat Moore in the 1M who flipped, and we have a red flag. Kevin Doty in the 7L, 77 Mike Brooks, and 1M Pat Moore. That is Pat Moore's automobile, upside down. Took a pretty good roll. He's a young man from Illinois. Fine young driver. First time here, and did very well up until this moment, until those 3 guys tangled going into turn number 1 on the opening lap.
I tell you, this had to be a little deja vu for Doug Wolfgang. The last thing he needed to see was a crash in front of him like he was involved in last Thursday night.
He almost got tagged. There you see the Wolf in that orange number 8. As we watch those 2 automobiles come down, Pat Moore nicked the Wolf and then rolled up into the number 7L Kevin Doty, who is, by the way, no relation to the very popular former sprint car driver, Brad Doty.
And from another angle, Brock, I think we can see just how close number 8, the orange car, Doug Wolfgang, came to becoming involved in this. Just a matter of a few inches kept the Wolf on the right track. Let's go down onto the dirt. Gary.
Now, walking away and pulling off the helmet obviously disappointed Kevin Doty. You appear to be okay. Can you tell us what happened, Kevin?
Well, I'm fine. Just the 77 car, Mike Brooks, just cut right down in front of me and probably blew the left or the right front tire, and the car just went straight into the wall.
It's got to be a major disappointment when you come to Knoxville with all the hype, all the money, all the prestige that's on the line, and to have it end like this.
Well, it really is a shame. You know, guys try and win the race on the first lap. And Knoxville's really a great deal. I wish I could have been in the A.
Maybe next year, huh?
Maybe, hopefully.
Kevin Doty's out of this one.
Well, that man is certainly down, but the crowd is certainly up for two reasons. All of the drivers in this crash were A-OK, and Doug Wolfgang got through the melee. But did he? Now, he was grazed just a little bit right there. As durable as these cars are, probably no harm, but you just never can tell. A few degrees of misalignment in the rear end can be a bad deal. Brock?
I'm with 23-year-old Patrick Moore, who was mixed up in that thing. First of all, you're okay, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, I'm all right. Just kind of disappointed.
Of course. How did it all transpire?
I don't know. I came in there. I started last, so I didn't push it real hard in the corner. I was just kind of taking it easy, and there was somebody upside down in front of me, and I just got on the brakes and ran in the back of Wolfgang and locked her up, and there was nothing I could do. I just trying to avoid it.
But obviously a disappointment, but you went a long way in this first time at the National, so you got to feel good about that. A bad ending, but up to this point, good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, Pat Moore of good spirits, considering he's got an awful lot of work to do in a wrecked car. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
And the third driver involved is Mike Brooks. And Mike, a lot of years racing at Knoxville and other tracks, but it's never a comfortable moment when you end up in the middle of one of these. Can you tell us what happened?
I don't know. Somebody hit me. I went over our left rear wheel and tore the bird cage and stuff up. Don't know where he come from. It's come from behind us, but he just ran over us. That's all there is. Put us out.
How tough is it to put something like this behind you and now look ahead to whatever the next race may be?
Oh, when you're my age, it's not very tough. These things happen. It hasn't been our week, and was out hot lapping and had a guy pulled right from her. He bent the right rear bird cage, so we probably weren't very set to race anyway. We had some problems, but we were going to try it. So we're out, but there's always next week. It's not, I like this race. You know, it's a big race, a big event. We wanted to really do well. I mean, we've been running pretty good the last couple of weeks, but this wasn't our night.
Thank you, Mike.
So he feels a little bit better, I'm sure, right now, but the battle is far from over between the 39 automobile of Ricky Hood, who's challenging David Horton now in the white 60 and gets by him.
Horton way up high into the marbles and tags the wall, rear end first. Ooh, then he gets the front end. An awful lot of damage to that car, even though it stayed right side up. But as you well know, Brock, on a scale of 10 in the world of Outlaws, that was about a 2.
Well, the caution is out, which is going to slow everybody up. Horton is okay. There's no question about that. He's unbuckling his belt. So he is finished probably for the night. He may get it hooked back up and into the B main. But right now, David Horton is obviously concerned about that. Maybe a little loss of concentration as he got it into the fence right after he was passed by Ricky Hood.
Well, Brock, as we take another look, you'll see that Horton is way up too high. You want just the rear drive wheel in that cushion, not the whole car in that loose dirt, because it's just like you're on ice. First the rear end, then the front end. The front wing knocked off the automobile. You saw that on the right-hand side of your picture, and ooh, there was about another $200 nudge into the wall. So other than some bent-up suspension and some wheels possibly, Horton is okay, and it won't take a whole lot to fix this car. These are very durable machines, and that kind of a brush with the wall is just considered, well, part of the fortunes of outlaw sprint car racing. No big deal, I'm sure Horton would tell you, who is right now with Brock Gates. Brock?
Well, David, I know you got to be disappointed. What happened?
Just going off in a turn, steering broke, and just slammed me right into the wall.
Nothing you can do when you lose that whole thing.
No, I've got power steering fluid all over me right now. It's just one of them deals, I guess. Tear up a lot of stuff.
Well, as long as you're okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. To take the green flag for heat number 4.
A lot of itchy throttle feed as they exit 4. Watch how quickly these high gear only machines accelerate down the front straight away. Oh, and Doug Wolfgang gets tangled up with the 2P yellow car of Rick Montgomery. The crowd favorite starting at the back. The Wolf in an awful crash.
But there is the car, the 2P of Rick Montgomery, that took a slow roll, landed back on its wheels. And there is the Wolfgang automobile down against the inside fence. The ambulance is immediately on the scene. Neither driver moving at this point. Real concern. And let's take a look, Steve Evans, one more time as they come down instantly into it after the green flag falls.
Watch the yellow car go right over and blindside Wolfgang. Wolfgang never saw him coming. The Wolf's car into the wall hard, spins 4, 5, 6 times, and going over is 2P of Rick Montgomery. But Montgomery didn't take the shock in the car, but Wolfgang did.
Well, Steve, the big question is what caused Rick Montgomery to cut at right angles across the racetrack. Here you can see what happened. He touches wheels with Tommy Scott in the white 4S, which causes that automobile to get out of control and tag the Wolf down low. Wolfgang had merely taken the low line, didn't even see Montgomery coming, and suddenly was shoved into the fence at about 120 miles an hour.
Well, the good news is right here, Doug Wolfgang is out of the car and appears to be shaken up a bit, and you can see him grimace just a bit. He's a tough guy. He must really be hurting for it to show on his countenance. And the other driver that took a hard knock, in fact, upside down, was Rick Montgomery. There he is, obviously is okay, and trackside is Gary Gerald.
Well, this is obviously not the way anybody wants to have things happen in Knoxville. This is a high-speed racetrack, and when it happens, it's usually big time. Are you all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you tell us any idea what happened from your seat?
I seen a white car come down across the front of me and then kicked everybody to the inside there, so.
Any opportunity to look at the race car and check damage?
No, not so far.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
All right, from a third angle, let's have a look at this dreadful accident in heat number 4 here at Knoxville. Now, if you watch very closely, you'll see the 4S white car of Tommy Scott right there on the left-hand side of that circle. Now, Rick Montgomery is in the yellow car, the 2P. Scott comes across, tags Montgomery, sends him slicing down the racetrack into the Wolf, and right there, that first frontal impact, that was the one that really hurt physically. The car continues to spin, tags Montgomery in the rear end as it does, and sends him flying upside down across the racetrack. Both cars severely damaged, but you can build new cars. You can't replace men like that tough guy from South Dakota. Brock?
Doug, are you okay? Your bell run pretty good, huh?
Yes, I'm all right.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness for the safety equipment these men wear, particularly the neck collar in this kind of an accident. We'll be back with more from Knoxville, Iowa. Stay with us.
Now, feeling a little bit better when I had a brief conversation with you out on the racetrack. First of all, the obvious question, you just got tangled up, I would imagine, in that start, and nothing you could do about it?
I just come down the inside, and because it's usually the safest spot to come, like going in turn 1, everybody wants to slip out. So I moved to the inside, had a nice drive down the inside, and then a guy come crossed in front of me, and I had no chance of missing him. I think I ticked him, and went into the inside guardrail.
Well, we wish you luck, and most importantly, we're glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm all right. I just got shook up a little bit, and I couldn't see right for a minute, but I'm towed straight ahead now. I'm all right.
Good deal. We're glad. Thanks, Doug. Doug Wolfgang, very tough man. Got to be good to even get into this park, Steve.
Absolutely. All right, they're idling around side by side, looking for the green flag and the green lights, and they are going to get it this time out of turn number 4. And the California kid, the yellow 15 car, Blake Robertson, he is gone into the lead. A lot of bumping in the back, and now we got trouble on the front stretch. It looks like the 25 car of Steve Brazil maybe got into another car. That caused him to come sliding across the racetrack, and an innocent victim, Richie Gott, in the 4G car, got tagged by Brazil. But the red flag is out. They're going to have to remove the wreckage before we can continue here in Heat 2.
Yeah, no problems as far as the drivers are concerned. Steve Brazil and that 25, as you can see, the wheels are hooked together with the 4 automobile of Ricky Gaunt. I would imagine that they'll be able to get these cars unhooked and back underway. But in the meantime, let's take another look at how this happened. Mid-pack, green flag out, and it's Brazil who gets into J.R. Topper from behind. Apparently hurts the steering on that 25 car because he's sliding down low. And then Ricky Gaunt, trying to get by him on the low side, hooks wheels, and they slide up onto the infield, and no apparent damage. Let's go down to Steve.
Well, they're trying to separate a couple of cars down here. Ricky, you got in as an alternate, a little trouble down that front straight.
Yeah, I think them guys got into one another, and I kind of got tangled up in it. It's just part of the deal, I guess.
Will the car be able to restart, do you think?
I don't know. We got some damage there. It looks like we took out a radius rod in the headers, but we'll try and get back in. And hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Okay, what we need down here is the world's largest crowbar. Down low, one likely to ride the rim halfway through the B feature. 6 laps to go. And this is the best race of the night for the second spot. Can Wooly finally make it work here? Oh, and we've got a yellow flag out. It is trouble for 9M Rick Montgomery and 8L Lisa French. Lisa doesn't have a whole lot of experience and was telling me earlier her biggest fear was to get out there and maybe get mixed up in something and cause a problem. She's really trying to stay away from the other guys and just get a lot more experience in the seat. So it'd be interesting when we have another look at this to see just exactly what did happen between Lisa and Rick Montgomery.
Well, there's Rick. He has already spun up in turn number 2, and here comes Lisa backwards into the picture. No contact between the two cars, apparently independent spins, but they both end up in the same place on the racetrack, and that brings out the caution.
Both cars will be pushed up immediately and join up at the back of the field.
2x2 field coming down off turn number 3 through turn 4, and they are going to get a green.
And look at the Aussie, Gary Brasher, from outside of the front row. He immediately moves around and in front of number 63, Rusty McClure, who started on the pole. The young Aussie quickly asserting himself and trying to make a big play from the back. Oh, and I was just going to say, Vance Peterson trying to come from that next to the last spot, and he made up a bunch of them, but he got tangled up here, and we've got a couple of cars in trouble. Vance Peterson and Bobby Burrows, the 52U car. And of course, Burrows has taken the worst of it here. Look at this machine. It is upside down, the wing pretty well crinkled. It was not a particularly high-speed crash, and I would think that both drivers should be okay.
All right, let's take another look at it now as they come off turn number 2 on the opening lap. That is Peterson down low on the right side of your screen. Off to the left, off screen, Bobby Burrows has already gotten out of control, and everybody's scrambling for position. Peterson gets up against Bobby Allen in the 1A, tangles him. He starts to spin. There you see Burrows tumbling upside down as Peterson and Burrows get together. The 80 car spins to a stop, and Burrows upside down, but apparently unhurt. These cars amazingly strong, and of course the wings cushion the impact, so apparently Bobby Burrows all right, and Steve is going to try to get to him.
Bobby, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Those things happen so quickly, it's hard sometimes to tell exactly what did happen.
I just got a little loose and got around, got tapped, and went over real easy.
Most important race of the night, not unexpected to happen in turns 1 or 2.
No, not at all. Racing thing.
Car is pretty beat up.
I don't think it's too bad. It went over pretty easy.
The wings, they really saved the car, and you.
Yeah, it went over real easy, so I'm fine.
Okay, well, get back to your crew. All right, Vance Peterson being pushed off, he's okay. But immediately the crew goes to work on the 52U car of Bobby Burrows. It is a testament to just how durable today's sprint cars are that the bent-up, ragged wing on that machine is quickly removed and a new one installed. The crew obviously will not have time to check the suspension or make any adjustments on the chassis, but they don't feel that the car went over hard enough to need to do any of that. He's now been bump-started back out onto the racetrack. Watching this replay, as C.D. Colville in the number 61 car was rammed from behind, just enough to throw his car into a hard right turn and into the outside wall. Multi-car incidents in turn 4 turned out to be the rule rather than the exception here at Syracuse, and C.D. Colville was but one of the victims of the Moody Mile. Next, Brock and I called yet another incident in turn 4. Here we go with yet another restart of the National Auto 320 for modified cars.
Well, he gets a little better start this time. Oh, trouble right away.
A chain reaction right in the middle of the pack. 2, 4, 5, 6 race cars involved, and they never got to the start-finish line on the restart. Just incredible. These guys are out for blood today. And as I look back at that race, the carnage was just beginning. Here were a couple of the cars involved in that crash, including the J17 car of Jeff Hotzler. Brock talked to him after the wreck.
What happened exactly? Well, everybody bottled up on the start, and one guy got sideways, and the guy outside of me went over the right front wheel, and bend it, and off I went into the wall.
That turn 4 seems to be a lot of trouble today. We've had a lot of yellows in the initial stages of the race. Anything going on? Is it just greasy, or is it just a place that's always trouble here at Syracuse?
No, what I think, everybody gets a little rammy on the starts. They think they get a spot and end up rubbing wheels, getting out of shape, and accidents happen.
Well, you heard Jeff mention that wheel contact is a cause leading to many crashes. This is just one of the hazards of modifieds or sprint cars or any open wheel cars for that matter. If the wheels of two cars come into contact, both cars are usually headed for disaster. For this reason, and just plain pushing too hard on the start, this scary incident developed. It was also in turn 4 and also at the start of the race.
We got big problems in turn 4. That is the car against the wall of John D.I.R.T. Sammy Swindell has hit him, car number 11, who led this race earlier on. And Buzzy Rudiman has just rammed the parked car of Sammy Swindell. An awful collision in turn 4.
Well, Sammy Swindell was just sitting there parked, and the veteran Buzzy Rudiman came off turn 4, building up speed. We're going to have a yellow here. We've got a bad crash. The racetrack is almost fully blocked. Sammy Swindell climbing out of his race car. Birash and Rudiman still inside their cars. Let's take another look at what happened here. Coming off turn 4, we see Birash sliding toward the outside wall. There is Sammy Swindell, who follows him up against the fence, squeezes him in there, bounces off Birash's car, and comes to a halt. A whole bunch of other cars seem to get by in pretty good shape, and then Buzzy Rudiman, Steve Evans, comes wide off turn 4 and tags the stopped car of Sammy Swindell. An awful shot. I'd say he probably hit him at almost 100 miles an hour.
And I'm sure that came as a complete surprise to Sammy Swindell. I would guess that Swindell was just about ready to unbuckle, Brock. Obviously, he didn't, or he wouldn't have walked away from that car.
You can pass coming off the fourth corner. You've done the right thing here at Syracuse. It's the place with the most room. Oh, we got an accident. Trouble. Oh, whoa. Hard hit coming off the fourth corner, and cars still piling into the damage.
Bob McCready has just dodged a bouncing tire. He comes through okay. Some of the cars involved, number 86, that's Alvin Felty. Meanwhile, Doug Hoffman has taken the lead.
.16, that's Jimmy Biggio. He really hit very, very hard. Tom Mayberry and the one involved in this incident. Rescue crews now going over to check. They seem calm and relaxed. That's a good sign. More likely than not, everybody is okay. Lots of attention paid to safety on these automobiles. Speeds here often exceed 125 and 130 miles an hour, so they put a lot of effort into making sure that the cars are as safe as they possibly can be, because as you have just seen, it can get very, very violent here at Syracuse. Tough crash coming off the fourth corner.
Let's go to Andy Fusco at the accident scene.
Andy Fusco here at the accident scene. A lot of cars sustained heavy damage here. Just coming off of turn number 4, we see severe damage to Tim Dwyer's number 1A. Ray Bateman's number 1 also damaged. And up against the wall, that's Jimmy Bigelow's number 16. That is also heavily damaged. We now get a report that the ambulance is coming to the scene. As soon as we have the opportunity to get a little bit closer to the accident action, we will see if anybody is injured.
Let's take a look now and see exactly what happened. Here it is. It's already started now coming off the fourth corner. Two cars into each other. Here's the third one going into Biggio. Boom, under the bottom. Car spinning wildly through the air. That's Biggio on your left. He makes contact with the wall again, and you can see cars just collecting other cars coming off the fourth corner. At this instant, the track is completely blocked. There goes the tire flying through the air, and that is about where it stopped. Look at the good job of driving. Some of the drivers in the back executed to avoid that incident and keep their cars out of it. McCready in particular, beautiful job of sliding through there by McCready. He didn't touch anybody.
We're here with Timmy Dwyer. Timmy, what happened?
I'm not really sure. Something broke on my left rear of my car, and I started going to spinny that, or somebody hit me. I'm really not sure at this moment. I got to look at the car.
Okay, now let's go over to Jimmy Bigelow's car. Jimmy's still in the automobile. They're going to have to remove the roof. He is conscious, he is moving, he seems to be in some bit of distress. The track crew here taking the roof off of Bigelow's number 19. You can see the car sustained heavy damage around the firewall. The emergency crew right on the scene working diligently. As I said, Bigelow conscious, moving, but obviously in some distress here. The porta-pack and the jaws of life are both being fired up here at the scene. The D.I.R.T ambulance crew, probably the best in all of racing. Tremendous emergency crew. Bigelow shaking his head yes to one of the medical assistants. We would take that to mean that he feels that he can feel his extremities. I think that was the question that was asked of him. Bigelow still sitting in the car. You can see he's grimacing. He is in a fair degree of discomfort, but he is conscious, he is moving.
Work continues now in the area of the fourth turn. They've got the backboard ready to take the driver out. Jim Biggio still in the car. He was moving around, talking to the people who are trying to help him. They don't take any chances at all anymore in automobile racing. It used to be if a guy took a hard hit, they just let him climb through the window and get out of the car. And now they take the roof off the car, they put a backboard on and lift him out over the top just to be sure that there's no extra damage done to anybody. And you really can't tell when somebody's taken a hard hit like that exactly what damage might have occurred.
Andy Fusco is with Jimmy Bigelow's car.
They did not have to use the jaws of life on Bigelow's car. The opening of the top of the roll cage was great enough to be able to remove him without cutting the roll cage. They have used the bodyboard as a precaution, and now he is being placed into the ambulance. Still having trouble changing that right front wheel. This is a costly pit stop. He's now lost several positions on the racetrack, and now they have trouble with the air hose.
And we have contact again coming out of the pits between two cars, and we've got a real problem now in turn one.
Boom! Oh, Carl Van Horn spun, cars flying through the air in the first turn. Oh, more contact in the first turn. Hard hit there. Everybody was in a big hurry to get out of the pits, and it proved to be very costly indeed.
Tommy Corellis also involved in turn one. Also involved Chuck McKee, the 19. Let's take a look at what happened. As Chuck McKee was leaving the pits, he drove into the path of the 71E driven by Carl Fuzzy Van Horn. Now Van Horn's car spun out into the middle of the racetrack and came to rest facing the pack as they entered the first turn. Now Van Horn was then hit by Joe Plazak, Mike Romano, and finally the 57 of Tommy Corellis. Corellis then continued on and rear-ended Plazak against the fence in turn one. This is a closer look at the impact on Carl Van Horn as he sits helplessly in the middle of the track. Carl Van Horn appears to be all right, but obviously shaken as he exits his car. He'll be examined thoroughly by the medical staff to make sure he's okay. Meanwhile, Andy Fusco has another crash victim on pit road.
I'm here with Tommy Corellis, one of the early retirees of the day. Tommy, what happened?
Just like a bunch of cars were parked in front of me, and I couldn't get around, and I T-boned right into them. I think it was Van Horn was sitting right in front of me. I don't really know. It's just it's a shame.
Did you see the impact coming out of pit lane?
No, I didn't. That was happening behind me, I guess. I was coming on around. I just happened to see one car sitting there, and then another car turn around and face me. And that's what I hit. I didn't hit the car that was parked.
Tommy Corellis, an early retiree of what has been a very attrition-filled race.
Contention here. In fact, in reality, they are the leaders because everybody in front of them has yet to make their first pit stop.
All right, they're coming out of turn 3 into 4, out of 4, and they get a green flag. The 0 car, Ray Bateman Jr. leads them down the front straightaway, and we have got trouble.
Oh, right away. As the field sweeps off turn number 4, a big jam up coming out onto the front straightaway. That is Tommy Corellis' number 57 up against the outside of the fence. The 38 car of Mike Perotti appeared to start it, but Jack Johnson's in it, C.D. Coble, Kenny Tremont, some of the front runners, or at least contenders, all jammed up against the outer fence as they came off turn number 4 on that restart, Steve.
And this is the kind of chain reaction crash that a lot of people, including yours truly, expected to see.
see on the very first lap of this race.
In the 38 automobile, you can see the substantially altered bodywork on the right side of the car. The hood disappeared in that as Mike very tentatively gets back underway. He's probably going to try to carry on, but that's a severely damaged race car. Although, Steve Evans, not quite as damaged as some of the other victims.
No, indeed. Let's slow down the video and have a look. Watch for the 4 car, Nat Quinn, in the background. Now there, you can see he got up and tagged the 38 white car of Mike Perotti, who spins and then gets into the wall, while the 4 car continues to become involved with more machines. The 61 car of C.D. Colville, 12A car of Jack Johnson, the 115 car of Kenny Tremont, 57 car of Tommy Corrales, the 20 car of Bruce Sire. Boy, it was a train wreck. Let's go to Paul Page, who's with the 115 car of Kenny Tremont. Paul?
Well, here, back behind the pit line, they're working on Kenny Tremont's car. He still sits in the car. Kenny, are you hoping to get back in?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're going to try and do the best.
What happened to you on the crash there? It looks like they were lined up badly.
They were it happened far in front of me. You know, the cars got mixed up and we had no place to go.
All right, well, he's covered with dust and dirt. The side of his car is completely battered in. But the crew works on Kenny Tremont's machine with the hopes of getting him back into the fight.
Now let's go to Brock Yates with the Jack Johnson car, who had gotten up to 13.
Well, Steve, apparently Jack Johnson's crew thinks they can get him back into the race. They're working on the front end after that car took a stuffing up against the fence. Let me see if I can get a word with Jack. Jack, you reckon you can get this thing back in the race?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the damage is up there. We're chasing a point, so we're going to try to get back out there.
Jack, you got just pinched up against the fence, I would imagine, on that restart.
Yeah, I got pinched there. The cars were all sliding around. I tried to get through outside against the wall, and somebody just tapped me, and I clipped the wall of my right front. I couldn't get through.
We were watching you. You seem to be moving up pretty good.
I was just trying to run steady. I wasn't running as hard as I could. It was raining. It was a little dangerous out there. I was just trying to hold my own.
Well, great job. I'm sorry this happened to you. We'll be watching you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Jack Johnson apparently going to try to have a go at it.
And that's good news for the many Johnson fans here at Syracuse. You know, that kind of a crash is not unusual in modified racing on a restart or the start of the race even. But I think the rain, as Jack said, contributed heavily to this one. So many cars involved, no one could steer through this mess.
Well, there you see the 115 of Tremont heading down toward the inside fence, while Jack Johnson's car goes south toward the outside fence. And that little cluster of automobiles, everybody pretty well beat up in it.
But can't quite get around it. Boy, these cars are getting evil.
They are. Well, you've got almost 6 figures awaiting you in victory lane here. I'll tell you what, there are 3 very serious race drivers at work right now. One little bobble, one just slight miscue, and you've got trouble. Look at Johnson, it's up alongside Kazi. They spin and they crash in turn number 2.
This is unbelievable. First and second place have collided. The crew of Danny Johnson can't believe what they're hearing on the radio. There is Kazi, the 44 car. Danny Johnson, the 27 car. And what does this mean? It means the man who started dead last, the brother of Danny Johnson, is leading the Miller High Life 300. The crews are just done.
Unbelievable. Johnson tried to make his move. There's his crew chief, Billy Colton, understands the impact of what happened here. There is Kazi. Apparently tried to get it started, back underway. Now Johnson tries to move, but they are out for sure. Here is what happened. Notice Johnson down low, coming off turn number 2, tucks his right front wheel inside the left rear of Frank Kazi, and they both come loose. Kazi in the yellow 44 tries to save it. Johnson just heads directly for the outside fence and crashes. Kazi takes a big 360-degree spin and stalls.
And the field, of course, is under caution. If there's a parallel to other forms of motorsports, this would be a Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace incident in NASCAR racing, where one of the two tried to pass down low and the other one just didn't open the lineup any wider than it was. I don't think either driver could be considered at fault here. They may not agree with that analysis. In fact, let's go to Paul Page, who is in the Johnson pits, with crew chief Billy Colton.
Had a great fight going, tangled out at 2. What are you hearing?
All I know is we're all done. I have no idea beyond that.
What a terrible disappointment, huh?
Yeah, it is. We thought we had a real good shot at it. You know?
All right. One of the Johnson family out. Another still in the fight.
Well, that's what they say. I couldn't see what happened. You know, Danny's known to do that stuff, but those are the breaks of racing, and it's the way it goes. Kanai's car was really working great today, and it's just part of racing.
I know. You're very philosophical about it. You got to be a real disappointed. He did a super job all day long.
Yeah, well, we just brought our old car here. Just figured we'd do the best we could. And, you know, gave it our best shot.
Well, you got a lot to be proud of. You did take home that 10 grand, is that correct?
Yeah, that makes it a little bit, but that's nothing compared to the race.
I understand. Well, we'll see you next year. I know you'll be back. You did what you had to do, and you just got pinched in the corner, I would imagine. That just put you up in the fence?
Yeah. He, getting towards the end of the race there, and he drifted up a little bit. I tried to get underneath him. He come back down. We touched, and that's all it took.
Well, it's automobile racing. I know you're disappointed, but the race car seemed to be well hooked up, and I would imagine you were just sitting back there trying to get by him. You reckon we figured you could get by him when you had to.
Yeah, we're trying, but it was just an unfortunate incident.
Yeah. Well, we're sorry you're out. It was a great show anyway.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's go to Paul for the other side of that story.
Frank, you got to be nursing what is a terrible disappointment. Fighting for the front there. What happened?
Well, Danny must have just got a little anxious there, and it just bumped me a little bit. It doesn't take much over there to get turned around, and once it starts to go, he can't hardly ever bring the car back there. It's the way it goes, I guess.
You wait all season to run an event like this. It's a very important one. What's the duty inside?
Well, I wait all my life because I've been coming here since so many years, and I got close, and I just kept thinking every lap, this is it, I just kept straight and kept thinking, man, this is going to be the one, and just like that, just take it away. So, well, not so bad, the car didn't get crashed bad, and there's always next week, but, I give up a couple next weeks for this week.
Well, close this time, but it's a face that you're going to see in winner's circle here sooner or later at Syracuse.
I completely agree, Paul. Thanks for joining Paul Page, Brock Yates, and myself, Steve Evans, here in Syracuse.